Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Hey, Mark's here.
Joining us today is a repeat offender.
It's been a while, though.
It's been a long time since we've had John on.
Apparently, he's going around knocking up chicks and stuff, so he doesn't have time
He's
for
too
us.
busy. He's too busy living life to come to the garage.
Son of a bitch. With us, we got
Stupid
John.
people. John, how's it going?
Good, very good.
Oh, you're going to want to go way closer than that, amigo.
Fine. I guess I could do that.
When was the last episode you were on? Do you remember?
Man, that was like a year and a half ago, maybe.
Oh, yeah. It was one of the first 10
one
episodes.
Of the first 10 episodes talking about Tyranids.
Yeah.
Wow. Loving those creepy crawlies. So, I don't know. It was a while ago.
It was a minute. It's a minute.
Did you ever take it personally? Like, oh, why haven't they invited me back yet?
Oh, absolutely. I knew that
Okay.
after that episode it went terrible. So you guys were like, no. Like you said, repeat offender, just wreck the podcast. So,
Well,
I know we talked a little bit off, this moment here, and you forgave me. So all is well.
I gave you a list of rules and regulations you have to follow.
Yeah.
And now you should be good.
Or else we'll make you apologize like we did James. Like we made James apologize.
Say sorry.
That's right. And then also joining us for the first time,
Yeah.
but hopefully not the last time.
The intimate eye contact. I hate it.
Is Iain.
Hey guys, nice to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
Thank you.
Iain is actually, we met through Lorehammer.
Yeah, one of Mark's Craigslist dates.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I do enjoy that story.
It's a good one.
I have told that to multiple people that do not know Mark. Just as like you want to know some
context.
crazy shit one of my friends did?
Yeah.
He put an ad out
Yeah, no.
for dudes.
I had just
And
moved.
things got crazy.
I had just moved to the city, and I was listening to Lorehammer just on my way to work and stuff, and I didn't know that you guys were from Calgary, so messaged Mark because I had nobody to play 40K with. And,
Now you still don't because you don't want
And-
to play with me.
Yeah.
and I
Well, nobody
did not.
wants to actually play with Mark.
No.
Right.
No.
Went to the little tournament. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was really cool.
and now we're here.
Everyone's caught up.
Yeah,
That's
that's the story.
That's it. Thanks for coming. But today is our 61st episode. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's more than 60, less than 62.
That's right,
So
yeah.
it depends on if you're half full or half empty kind of guy, if we're doing good or not.
It's a lot of hours
If you could just keep that pessimism
to yourself.
out of this,
That'd be great.
please, Mark.
That would be great.
61st episode. This one is on the Hive Mind. So today we're talking all about Tyranids
Not Tyranids.
or Tyrannids. I don't give a shit. It's all made up, Iain.
What about Tyranids?
Tyrant night.
I don't know if I agree with that
Whoa,
one.
whoa.
Just following like a language convention.
Hold
I
on
don't know.
here.
But it's all made up, so I'll allow it.
Yeah. So in the end, it's what do you like? How do you?
I love
slice
those
your pie?
emails about word pronunciation that we get. It's just like,
You stupid motherfucker.
The greatest one is the WOG.
oh, yeah.
That's probably the best one.
Get a lot of complaints about that.
Oh, of
Oh,
course.
yeah.
There's multiple. Yeah.
The diehard orc players.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to piss them off. That'd be bad.
No, they just yell and scream at you then.
Yeah, they're orc players. That's what they're good at.
That's what they do. Yeah.
Let's hold up a heartbeat. Ableton is having a little hissy fit.
Mm-mm.
Oh my
Get your
God.
shit together, Ableton.
Come on, it's a paid pro.
We edited in.
There we go.
We
Okay.
edited in a call.
We're back.
Reverby and everything. Yeah.
All right. All right. So we got a lot of shit to get in before we actually start the episode. So let's dive right in. The first is our Patreon.
Yeah.
So since I think it's been over a month since we've released, so we got a
Got a
lot
couple.
of gotten a lot of new ones. So I'm just gonna read them out. Save your applause and your adulation until the end. So first we have Stephen, John, Jonathan, Will, Brock, Louis DeJong, Jack, Mark sucks sweaty ogren balls.
This is canon.
Yeah, well, it's true. Adam, Tau are better than knights.
Not canon.
Nate, Abby, Irishican,
Irishican, yeah.
Who knows?
Tyranid.
That's Justin, Anders, Sean, Intense Trent. Intent Strent or Intense Trent?
Intense.
I like intense trend.
Intense Trent.
Intense Trent.
I don't-
I think it's
and
better that way.
then apparently I missed one before. Scott.
Yeah, Scott. So he listened to the Mark and Trevor Forever episode,
Yeah.
and he liked it so much. He's like, "Here's $10 for Trevor." So I emailed him back. I'm like, "Well, Mark was on that episode too," and the guy emailed another $10. So that was pretty generous.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And because of that, he actually gets to include a little wish, a little something he wants to share.
It's from his heart.
Yeah, really, it's really heartfelt, and I think it kind of
It's like he's here in the room with us.
yeah, it kind of shares the feeling of Lorehammer as a whole. Like it's representative of us, I think, and it is that he wants to tell Christian that he prays for his early demise. So, me too.
Patrick,
That is my
Yeah.
bro.
Me too, Scott. Me too. That's a bro right there.
Not that type of bro. I mean, biological bro. Anyways.
So you should want that then too.
No.
One less person in the will.
Yeah, you're next in line.
Well, he's
As
first
soon as
anyway.
if he's gone, I inherit all the plastics.
Oh, do you really want Christian's plastics?
That sounds so weird.
Does any of us have enough room in their house for Christian's collection?
No.
I could make room for it.
No.
I got things I can get rid of.
Just like melt it all down into one giant orc.
It probably weighs more than us.
Yeah, probably.
He has so
Easy.
much crap.
Yeah, they're all boxed away in little packages, nice and like.
I love the 2 a.m. messages from Christian, like, "Hey, you want to buy this old, out-of-date bottle box set with me?"
Yeah, he's trying to get me to buy Dark Vengeance, and because
yeah.
I'm really looking at Wordbearer right now, and trying to, even though I'm not done Grey Knights,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter.
Moving on.
Yeah, exactly. That's Warhammer for you.
Grey Knights are 2019, Eric.
yeah, 2020, new army.
New army, new me.
Yeah.
New me, new army. But anyways, he's like, "Oh, buy the Dark Vengeance set. Take the Loyalist half." Mark's like, "What the fuck is he gonna want with the Loyalist half?"
Shitty old, out-of-date Dark
Yeah.
Angels. Yeah.
Like, "Oh, that's me." And then I was like, "Why would I want that?" He's like, "You're gonna regret not having them."
There's some models in there that you can't get anywhere else, though, right?
True, but he.
They're more for the chaos.
Yeah,
side.
Is the
Cultist?
Chosen in the Dark Vengeance set?
Yeah, the Chosen
Yeah.
and the Lord are really good, but like all the regular Dark
Right.
Angel stuff, we
Well,
got
those-
Primaris.
Yeah, those are Squat Marines at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really. And we are Primaris only.
That's right. Yeah,
podcast.
we only care about.
support
Right.
and love our Primaris.
Yep. Tell it like it is, Marcus.
I just did.
Yeah. So thank you to all of our donators.
Yeah, if
donors.
you can.
I'm a little slow today.
Our Patreons. Thank
Our
you. to-
Patreons, yeah. Our Patreons.
Donators.
Donate.
If you guys want to be a part of what we're doing, and give us money so we continue to put out super high quality content.
Yeah.
I can't even.
We're
say
full of
that.
lies. We like Primaris and high quality content.
Yeah, I can't even.
We don't know what's true. What's going on here?
But yeah, seriously, if you can help out, like a dollar helps. Like if everyone gave us $1, like we could do this like full time.
I would do this full time.
Exactly. Like so, if please help out if you can. $1 goes a long way when you got 10,000 people giving you $1. Sure,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
there you
really
go.
consider that because, like, honestly, we would take it full time if we got more.
I'd kill myself because I'd have to deal with you so
Wow.
much. But like, I'm only gonna last like 4
That
months.
just means more money for me, though. Excellent.
Turn
Yeah.
it into a full
Mark
time
takes over.
Mark and Trevor podcast.
Oh God. No,
I haven't even
no.
listened to it, but I heard it was actually quite enjoyable.
The Mark and Trevor show.
Oh,
I can already see the.
yeah. Oh,
It's dirty. Nobody likes it. All right.
We're getting into the episode eventually here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community corner. So something we started last episode, I believe,
Yeah.
just
yeah.
one ago,
think so.
where we want to share what other people are doing in the 40K world, specifically 40K.
Yeah.
And so this week is a Swedish podcast by
There's a lot of Swedish
You
words.
got it, you
Charles
got it.
Mitzma. So I'm going to read it out. This was his little explanation. Fortikapoden is a Swedish podcast in Swedish
I
talking
am impressed.
about the lore in 40K. Not only do we talk about the lore, but we do it in the most glorious language, which I'm assuming is Swedish. Everything is translated, including names, and most often in the least reasonably way. Orcs, for example, are called hooligans-vamper,
That's awesome.
which translated back to English would be hooligan mushroom.
I mean,
Hooligan
really,
mushrooms. That is
quite
amazing.
accurate.
Yeah, no.
Kudos to
stuff.
you, man. That's
So
so good.
So it's a great tip for the thin slice of Lorehammer fans that struggle with English but are fluent in Swedish. It is found wherever podcasts are usually found, and here on Facebook as Fortikapoden.
Can you spell that for us?
No. Well, there's umlauts in there. I'm not
Quite a few, actually.
yeah, but we will have a link.
Yeah.
So if you speak the Swedish language,
Or if you just want to hear a good accent and have a good cheap laugh at it.
yeah,
Tired
check
of
it
listening to Mark and Eric.
Oh yeah.
everyone should be at this point.
Absolutely.
It's 2 long years of our garbage voices. But yeah, if you also have something you want to share, send us an email. Let us know. Hit us up on Facebook.
I
or
think
Instagram.
email. Only do email. If
All
you
right.
if you Facebook or Instagram, it will get lost in it.
Yeah,
in the
we're gonna
messages.
ask you to email us
Yeah.
regardless
So.
what you do. So, but get in
You can
contact.
yeah.
Get in contact with us.
Yeah. We'd love to share what you guys are up to.
Yeah.
Lots of cool stuff happening in the community. So
Lots of cool things. And then the last thing before we actually dive in is Christmas. Happy Chrysler.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
It's Christmas. That's one of my favorite memes. Is that
Christmas.
yeah. Anyways, so first of all, any Warhammer related gifts for Christmas? Mark, obviously you get Warhammer because you don't get other gifts.
What did you get, Mark?
just gift cards.
What are you gonna buy?
Haven't decided yet.
Ooh,
I like to keep my options open.
that's not true. You pull the trigger faster than anyone I've ever.
Oh yeah, it's been spent.
Impulse purchase all the time, every day.
Well, I guess you finished purchasing all your orc stuff.
I'm waiting for one more thing. I'm waiting for the AdMech flyer.
The
But that's
Archeo.
not out yet.
cool.
Okay.
The
Oh yeah.
leather
for your
wings?
your
Yeah.
warcopter.
Yeah, I want to turn it into a warcopter. So like, if you take off the wings of that, it's pretty much looks like the helicopter body, like
Yeah.
a fuselage and then a tail.
The
coming
thing
off
is
the
really
end.
cool. I just don't like it for AdMech.
I was
Sure.
gonna say we had a conversation about that, and it's like makes so much sense for an orc army,
Right?
Yeah.
It really.
It's so awesome.
In
but
in
for
all
AdMech,
fairness,
it's a little weird.
everything fits in an orc army.
Of course,
So that's gonna be my thing.
Cool.
but it looks like an orc itself could have fashioned it.
It really does.
It's-
I don't think it fits in with AdMech, but Colin is super stoked for it.
He'll suck at the teat of any AdMech thing
That's
though. I don't care.
Yeah, he's a fanboy.
Mhm.
Did you get? John. I'm not sure. I don't think you did. Did you get any Warhammer?
No, I just got a cool jacket and then utility knife, so that's
Utility
about all.
knife.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
Was that a joint present or 2 separate ones? Was the
they were
jacket
joint.
specifically made for the jacket though?
Is
Is it a tactical jacket?
Yeah. Is
That's
it a
what I'm-
tactical jacket? Are you gonna wear it when you shoot guns?
No, probably not.
Okay, so it's not that tactical.
But it has aesthetics of it because it's from a game that I love playing.
What game?
Rainbow Six Siege. So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if there's anyone who's into the first-person shooter games.
There's enough people that listen.
Yeah.
That someone.
I think there's
Yeah.
a few people who play those
into it.
games.
Yeah, I love playing it when I can. I'm not great or anything. I wish I could be. My brother Frankie, he's crazy. He's up into like the Gold Diamond League stuff.
That's
but-
the highest compliment ever
Yeah.
said about Frankie in his entire life.
You know what? And he's not gonna listen to this either, so he's never gonna know.
No, it's my other brother. But yeah,
Hilarious.
so him and I will team
Yeah,
up and play. But
love
yeah,
it.
that was cool.
That's funny.
That's very cool.
I got a couple boxes of Fire Warriors for my
Oh, nice.
small
We're
growing.
starting Tau. I think I knew that.
have a little bit of Tau.
Yeah.
It's slow grow. So I got to keep it that way because otherwise I'll just get overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, it gets
so-
unwieldy quick.
Do you
Dude.
paint as you build? Like
I-
I told myself
I
I was
like
going to,
to-
but I don't.
Yeah, I try to. What used to happen is I would paint as I build, but then I would still want to play, so I'd end up proxying a bunch of bullshit, and it would look way worse. So
So at this point, yeah.
now I just try to only play when I have things painted.
Yeah, that's a good effort.
We'll see.
But
You're actually a part-time commission painter too.
I do a dabble
Very
in
cool.
in the commission gig. Yeah,
Do you want to
Very
give a
cool.
shout out to like your handle or something?
It's just
Smash that like and subscribe button.
smash that follow button. It's just Lawson Miniatures on Instagram. That's all I use. But
Okay, we'll put that in our show notes too. I
Yeah.
think. Might as
Yeah.
well.
I was gonna leave it for a real
There you
community
I
corner.
know, but it's like he's here. I
I
was
know.
hoping he would get
Yeah.
enthusiastic
It's all
and
good.
excited. And
yeah, I'll paint your miniatures if
Fuck
you
my
live in
commission
the
painting.
you live in the Calgary area. You know,
You got a Twitch stream, right, that we can follow as your painter?
I'm thinking of doing that actually.
Oh,
that
that'd
actually
be
that would
cool.
be
That'd be
something
really
I'm
fun.
looking into in 2020. That'd be pretty cool.
You and every girl out there.
That's right. Whoa. I will also have my boobs out.
Honestly, that's how you got.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
no other way.
gamer girl, yeah.
Like you
It's
either.
I
URL.
have two cams, one on the miniatures, one just on my chest.
But it like it has your mouth in it. Like it crops the top of your mouth. Like it's focused on
right,
more
right.
like.
So it's not like
Yeah, it's
just
not, you're
your
not
boobs.
being like
Right.
super obvious that
No,
it's
it's just poor
staring.
camera placement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it just keeps falling.
Oh no! Like, why am I always wearing really low cut shirts every time?
So yeah, tune into my stream 2020 for some miniature painting and boobs.
Perfect. All right, and then for me, I got The Lost and the Damned.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Excited to read that.
I'm super excited to read that. I really liked Solar War.
Yeah.
Every Horus Heresy novel I try to read, it just feels really slow.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
Like,
Are they
it-
pretty sluggish?
And it feels like
yeah.
very little happens.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're following
Yeah.
like the Luna Wolves themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like everything else just
You're right.
drags.
There,
totally
there's
right.
a lot of like fluff filler books in there too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that
Stuff
are
that
just-
has nothing to do
But
with
like,
Exactly.
but Solar
Yeah.
War was like, it was quick. It was action packed.
That's
it,
cool.
It also had like good moments of like personal, I don't know, not development, because it's not like Rogel Dorn is developing his character at this
Right.
point. But it's good, like instant, like
Today,
it shows
Rogel
there.
Dorn learned to love.
Yeah,
He's learning.
yeah, but it's good. So I'm excited to read Lost and the Damned,
Nice.
and it will only benefit all of our listeners as I gain the knowledge.
right. Reading is
What about
power.
a Twitch stream of you now reading the book?
Just
reading.
just, but like not reading it out loud. Just reading it.
Literally
Silently
just
turning the
silently reading.
and a hum of a fan in the background.
Occasionally,
get.
A cat every once in a while walks through the shot.
I'd tune in.
some
I'd tune in for cats.
and
then like randomly lo-fi or whatever playing in the background.
And then Merry Christmas
your boobs out.
and my boobs. Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Well, it wouldn't be popular if I didn't have my boobs out. So
No.
okay,
We did it.
we did
Happy
it.
New Year. We're in the new year. Well done, everyone. We made it.
Oh my god, I guess we are. Yeah,
Yeah,
happy
this is
New Year, guys.
Officially January 1st. We did it.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
2020.
what? It's
We made it.
hindsight is 2020.
Fuck.
There's a joke
Oh,
in there
no.
somewhere.
That's gonna meme everywhere. I'm scared now.
This is the year
Yep.
of introspection, where you look back, you look inward.
Something tells me that won't be true. I
Well,
don't
not at
think-
all. 2019 was
people are
supposed to be the year of me, and that
This
didn't
is
fucking turn
a new
out.
decade.
It is, yeah. It is a new decade. Yeah, as long because that's
Very
important.
cool.
Very cool.
Well, yeah.
This is big things.
Someone was like, "It's the last."
It only
year."
happens every 10 years.
Someone was like, "It's the last year of it's the last Christmas of the decade," and I was like, "And what does that fucking mean?"
Some people have such bleak lives, such meaningless lives that they cling to the little things like that.
Unlike us.
I think you
Oh
said it
no,
wrong.
I am quite satisfied with my
You
life.
said it wrong. Some people have such bleak and meaningless lives that all they do is play Warhammer. That's what it should have.
And then
at the
talk about
friendships I've
Warhammer
made.
in their spare time.
Mark's
I'm also married.
have an aneurysm.
I have a wife.
He just had to clarify that. He just had to throw
That's
that
the
out there.
defense mechanism of any nerd is like, I have a wife.
I can go touch boobs anytime. I don't need to watch Ian's live stream.
I do.
But tune in.
But I
okay.
will. Yes, I don't
Yeah.
need to, but I will.
Yeah, I don't have to, but I do.
We can even integrate it to the Lorehammer live Instagrams.
That would be nice.
Oh my god, 20 minutes in, boys.
Are we
Let's-
really?
Oh man.
Well, yeah, we
I'm sorry to all of our listeners for.
they've all skipped. No
The
one's
point
listening
is,
to this.
Merry
Everyone's
Christmas.
Fast forward this
Yeah,
part.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, guys. Another year of us doing this.
Give us your money.
Many more to come.
Oh.
Tell us what kind of cool Warhammer stuff you got for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a lot. People got a lot of shit.
Our junk folder is going to be full then.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ian.
I'll leak Mark's personal email later too, so you can just message him all of your pictures of you and the Christmas tree and your Warhammer. That'd be fantastic.
That's what I want. That's what I
absolutely
really want.
If we can get 10,000 in that junk folder by the end of the year, I will be a happy man.
That'd be too many.
Smash that junk folder.
Smash that junk folder.
All right, let's get into the episode. And the episode today is the Hive Mind. So it started with Synapse creatures was the kind of the direction we wanted to go with this episode, and it kind of morphed into more talking about synaptic connections between Tyranids and the Hive Mind, and also kind of talking what is Hive Mind, how do Hive Mind, when do Hive Mind,
How?
why do the Hive Mind, how do wherefore do the Hive Mind is.
Do you even hive mind?
Do you hive mind? Sometimes should you hive mind? When should you hive mind? There's a lot of things that Tyranids have to think about.
Or have thought for them.
Ooh, hive mind.
I like
There
this
you
hive
go.
mind.
Very hive mind, yeah. So hive mind.
Anytime you say the same thing as somebody else, hive mind.
So the first thing we are going to talk about is kind of what the hive mind is.
Yeah.
Please, Mark.
Can we read it at the same time?
Yeah, okay.
As a hive mind.
All four of us.
Okay, let's do
No, God, that's going to sound wretched.
It has
Turn it up.
It has to be done for the hive mind.
I'm not
though.
even going to attempt. Okay, for the hive mind.
For the hive mind.
For the hive mind.
Count it down. Count
All
it
right,
down.
3, 2, 1.
The hive mind is impossible to understand, quantify, or define. It is so alien in its appearance and activity that not even the most intelligent races have claimed understanding. Hive mind.
Hive mind.
Good work, everybody. And that's a wrap.
Thanks for coming,
thanks
guys.
for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it.
So impossible to understand, quantify, or define. It's so alien. Nothing like it exists in this galaxy. A lot of things there's like mirrors, right? The Imperium does something, Chaos also does it, but they're just mirrors of each other, right?
Yeah.
The Tau, it's very easy to understand because it's very based in reality.
Yeah, like oftentimes like one of my complaints about like sci-fi settings is like why every alien looks the same. Like Star Wars does a good job of creating like truly weird aliens, but like like Eric was saying, most alien species in 40K do look the same, and there kind of is a reason for that because they're all seeded by the old ones.
Right. That makes
Not
sense.
either intentionally
origins
The
or
origins have like
just
a humanoid-esque kind of.
yeah, or an off branch of it. But like Eric said, Tyranids don't come from this galaxy,
No,
so
they're
they're
not at all.
completely
Like
different. Yeah,
And I think it's been Games Workshop has reflected that well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
think,
fair. Absolutely.
So while this may be the case of the hive mind being impossible to understand, there are some aspects that seem to be irrefutable in their existence.
Yeah.
So even though we can't like quantify in one sentence, there are parts of it that we can very easily understand.
Yeah, like the biggest thing we understand is hunger. And that's a very defining thing about the
extremely
hive mind.
important to what they are.
Yeah.
All Tyranids are slaved to the hive mind. Across the fleets, there is only one consciousness, and it controls everything.
Yeah, more on this in a bit.
Dum dum dum.
Yeah. While this consciousness was born through an intellect or instinct to feed and grow, it has evolved beyond following these potential detrimental actions into an intelligent force capable of higher thought.
So, like, instinct will tell you that, like, if your instinct is to feed, you will feed always.
Yeah.
Like, even if potentially there's, an attacker coming at you, if your instinct is to feed, you'll just continue feeding while ignoring this other potential threat. And so this is where we would say that the hive mind has grown beyond just the instinctive desire to feed, because it can also perceive threats and act upon them. It can understand that there's like a future aspect that it needs to prepare for.
All in an effort to feed more efficiently later.
Exactly. Like the drive is still hunger and feed,
The end
but
game is...
it's able to have higher thought now, and it can weigh its decisions, which is a pretty big deal. Like, because it is still in the end just a beast.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't philosophize anything, right?
Yeah. And just
So
to,
that we know of.
That we know. True.
Yeah.
From our
we just haven't
perspective.
seen anything.
Right.
Yeah.
and then just to clarify, you said it's like a beast or something. It's not. I know.
No,
you,
no, no.
I know
Right.
you don't mean that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
just
It
to
is the
clarify.
mind
It is
of
the
a
mind of
beast.
a
It's an
beast, but we
amalgamation
don't
of
know if-
many
yeah.
beasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically the way we don't know how or when it was formed, but basically the kind of going theory is that each Tyranid, down from the lowly Ripper, is a psychic being. When enough are gathered in a localized area, the hive mind will manifest.
Yeah. So, like, if there's a single Tyranid in the middle of nowhere, like, the hive mind is created out of the psychic presence of the Tyranids, and that one is not enough to
Yeah.
create a hive mind. But if there are 7 million Rippers in the same place, all chittering and chattering in their psychic language,
Yeah.
just kind of out, not necessarily to
Right.
each other or with any kind of distinctive
Sending a
pattern.
signal, so to
Yeah,
speak.
that will manifest this higher consciousness.
Yeah, and we have no idea what that turning point is,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Is it one hive tyrant, then you could potentially have the hive mind?
Yeah, I was gonna
Probably
say,
not.
is that the case with like a synaptic creature?
I don't think so personally.
Because the synaptic creature doesn't create the hive mind.
It
It,
only-
taps
It
into
just
Yes.
taps
It
into
just
it.
connects
So you have
to
to
the
be a
larger
stronger.
hive.
Yeah,
I don't
like a
even
stronger-
like the strength of your synapse doesn't create hive minds.
No.
And like
it just
the
taps, it amplifies it, right?
yes,
Yeah.
that's all. It just it strengthens the connection
like a
between the
node.
Tyranids
Yeah.
and the hive mind. Whereas I think it's pure personally.
Yeah.
Because there's no
Yeah,
no.
this is all conjecture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just number of bodies.
I think so too.
Probably
Pure
is, yeah.
bodies,
Yeah.
and if you get enough, you'll manifest the hive mind.
Yeah.
And at some point, you kill enough Tyranids, the hive mind will stop.
It's like basically meat sac nodes is what they are. They're biologically these nodes that send the signal, and as it goes
Yeah.
stronger, like moths to flame in a sense. Like, well, I mean that's kind of a reverse example, but, but yeah,
But sure.
The more of
A
them
bunch of
there are,
cicadas or something.
yeah, sure.
fucking
No, but
loud.
it's like if the moths were to gather and then they would create the light because there's so many of them. That
Sure.
would probably
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
better example than moths to flame. But
let's do light bugs. What are light bugs called?
Fireflies?
Fireflies.
Yeah, one of them is on the title.
Wow.
They are bugs, at least.
True. I mean,
got
I
it.
suppose if you got like 1 million fireflies, you could get like
One LED
some
light.
crazy, crazy amounts of wattage. I don't know.
We shall harness the bugs.
We'll get there.
We will get them.
So the presence of a synapse creature will amplify the strength of communication from the hive mind to the Tyranids.
Yeah.
So these creatures have been adapted to become a conduit for the hive mind, and the hive mind can now extend its will into the lesser beings. And anytime we say lesser beings in here, we're specifically talking about things that cannot communicate on their own with the hive mind.
Yeah.
So
they contribute to it, but they can't
So, like,
communicate.
Yeah.
Rippers,
Yep.
Termagants, Hormagons, but also Carnifexes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are also
fair.
non-synaptic.
Yep.
So in this context, we will refer to them even as lesser creatures of the Tyranid
even though they're
race.
even like the mighty
Non-synapse.
Hierophant Titan.
Yeah, it's not a
It has to
synapse.
have a synapse capability, which is like usually just the hive tyrant. And a
Which is
couple others.
it's
Yeah, it
interesting
is
to think about. Like that seems like such an important thing,
Yeah.
and
Right.
yet
Something so huge, but they still deemed it not valuable
not
enough.
not worthy enough, yeah,
to,
of,
like,
of being
have-
synaptic.
Yeah.
Because the synapse
yeah.
is nothing other than another biomorph.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the reason why they don't get into that biomorph on everyone.
Right.
So
Yeah. So that once you have synapse and lessers, the hive mind extends its will into the lesser beings and exerts its control over them. This overrides the basic instinct of the beasts and turns them into an actual army.
and that's the
Something
reason.
coherent.
Like you don't need Synapse on a Hierophant, the mighty Biotitan, because it's already instinctively knows what it needs to do. It knows it needs to just go forward and shoot shit and stab stuff.
Yeah.
It
Right-
already
right
knows that.
Indiscriminately kill
take it.
things.
Exactly. You really only need the presence of like a synapsed creature. You only need the hive mind interacting when you want to do something out of the ordinary of its
yes,
already
Specific
basic.
That's something-
role or
it's-
yeah.
function.
That was kind of something that Mark and I the conclusion we ended up on was the hive mind is specifically for abnormal behavior.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Because everything has like its own instinct.
Yeah.
But
Termagants are going to want a Terma.
yeah, Hormagants are going to want a Horma.
Yeah.
Rippers
Exactly.
are going to want a Rip.
Yeah, if they come
Vex
upon
is
an
like an
agri
effects.
world that they don't need strategy to take over.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
They'll
Why would we
just
bother?
eat it.
We won't
Yeah.
waste
Eat it
the
all.
resources on building these synaptic
You can
creatures.
just spawn 7 million Hormigons and eat it. That's it.
Yeah, like I'm not a Tyranid player.
But we are
so-
Tyranid experts.
Of course.
Just to clarify.
But it just
We're
doing this
certified.
episode meant like a lot is learned for me, even
Yeah.
specifically. So, and you shape like your conceptions and like how do you imagine the hive mind and what does it look like to you? So this has been interesting for me. When the hive mind and the Tyranid race was crossing the void between galaxies, it was a centralized and concentrated existence. Every single Tyranid is gathered together. They're following the same consciousness, right? So the hive mind is just a bubble around all these different Tyranids. And so just that bubble, every single Tyranid was in the same bubble. So they
Same
controlled-
hive mind.
Same hive mind.
Yeah.
There was one fleet, the Tyranid fleet. As they neared the Milky Way galaxy, small portions of the larger force began to splinter off and wage war. And these small portions are Hive Fleet Leviathan, Hive Fleet Kraken, Kronos.
Jormungandr and all
Yeah,
those ones,
Jormungandr.
Jormungandr. Wow,
Yeah.
I screwed that up. So sorry.
These fleets...
The Tyranid players are going to
yeah.
be pissed.
They are. Yeah. So these fleets are still under the influence of the hive mind, but they are not connected to any other fleets or the hive mind that commands them. So even though if Mark and I are two separate fleets, when we're together, we share the same hive mind, right? Because it's still only one hive mind. But as soon as we split up, our hive mind, while still the same hive mind, experiences different things than each other. And then when we come back together,
It
that
all
hive mind
gets stored
merges
into the data bank.
yeah, that hive mind will merge back together, and again, we become one, the same hive mind. And we do have a very specific example of the hive minds not learning at the same rate. So if
Right.
Mark is on one side of the galaxy and I'm on the other, we are actually learning two different things, and our hive minds are going to be different until we meet up again.
Yeah.
And then you could spawn
Exactly.
a higher level of...
Yeah,
Hive
we would
mind.
join our DNA.
As they leave the centralized hive mind and splinter into smaller fleets, these are smaller clones of the hive mind. You basically just said this, but smaller clones of the hive mind begin to encounter new scenarios, obstacles previously unseen. The fleets must adapt, evolve, and overcome each unique problem using the power of the hive mind.
And this is where they will gain knowledge that is unique to their specific fleet.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
Mark,
that's why. Yeah, why every fleet has kind of its own flavor to it. Some like to
own
just hoard.
personality
Yeah,
and strategy.
Yeah, because their hive mind is growing differently than everyone else's hive mind.
yeah,
Even though it's all the same hive mind
Yeah, yeah.
in the end.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a matter of not all of this hive mind has the same connection.
Yeah.
It's a clone.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we...
Yeah.
It was a good
It's-
example.
yeah.
Like,
I think my favorite example of it is kind of, or the easiest one that most people can kind of relate to, because it's pretty weird the way this all kind of works. There's one singular hive mind, but there's many hive minds, but they're all the same. So the example that I think is kind of the best is if you have a bunch of different computers, those, and you put them all in one area, and you
they're all connected together.
network them together or whatever. It's all one hive mind. But then you take one of them away and you go elsewhere. You download some apps on it, put some games on it. It's its own thing, but it came from that original block of computers.
And as
But
soon as you connect it back...
they're all the same hive mind.
Exactly.
again.
So now all those other computers have all the same programs
Yeah. Yep.
that the first one had.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to explain it.
for me that like because it's very weird the way it works, and like
Yeah.
I had a lot of misconceptions about the hive mind. Going into
Another thing to think
Pretty vague. Like, I mean,
it
That's
is.
the thing,
It's
like-
super alien,
and that's
right?
why it's cool.
this. yeah.
Another thing. Okay, so the next point, these fleets will at some point be reunited with each other, like the computer coming back, and the hive mind will be rejoined with itself. And knowledge, information, history, and genetic code will no longer be the property of a single fleet.
Yeah.
So as soon as that, if there was one hive fleet that just consumed a lot of Eldar, like a lot of Eldar, and really got like a lot of their genetic code and really understood how they wage war, as soon as they meet another fleet, now that other fleet has all that same knowledge of
Could
fighting
produce
Eldar.
like biomorphs that would be
Exactly, and
beneficial
no
to
strategies
those-
of how
yeah.
to fight them, even though they've never fought them before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of when we see examples of the hive mind. This is kind of our understanding of it. Like this is the like you can't really argue. Like every single one of these things is taken from like an example in 40K.
Yeah,
It's not really conjecture.
Yeah. We'll get into some conjecture later.
Yeah.
But basically, to sum it up, the entire Tyranid race is controlled by a single consciousness that cannot always communicate with itself through the vast distances of space, but it's always working towards the same goal.
The hive mind will never do anything that endangers another version of the hive mind.
Exactly.
And that's very important
Yeah.
to understand.
Yeah.
Because it wrecks like a lot of people assume.
Right.
A lot of lies I've personally
Yeah.
spread, even.
We have mentioned it before.
In the early
and-
days.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
How
it
does
kind
that
of-
play into like the whole Hydra fleet?
That's exactly what
That's
it
exactly
is.
the-
And
Well,
so
I don't. Yeah.
we're going to go
exactly.
into it later.
Yeah.
So
it's so fascinating.
at the end of the episode, we're going to go through a bunch of misconceptions that we had.
And what ifs,
Yeah.
even.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Little bit of
Okay.
Tales of the Warp. No, what did we used to call that?
Tales of the
That's
Warp.
exactly what it used
Yeah.
to be called.
That's right. But this time it's called Shadow in the Warp.
Wow.
Wow.
There
So-
it is.
As an aside, there also is something in the Tyranid species organism called the brood mind, which is a little different than the hive mind, but this exists completely separate entity from the hive mind and will not rejoin the singular consciousness. They are specifically a product of the hive mind, created for a purpose.
This is a creation. This is not something that just happened.
Yeah. And this is specifically involving gene stealers and the way they
Oh, I
work.
see.
We did a whole gene stealer cult episode
Where we
38.
do talk about the hive,
Yeah.
the brood mind.
Right,
a
right,
decent
right,
amount.
Yeah. So we're not going to get into it
Yeah.
too much, but the brood mind and the hive mind are separate
Yeah, they're
things.
two
They are
With
not
s-
the same.
With different goals,
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
So,
But the brood mind was created
By the hive.
The
out
hive
of
mind.
necessity by
Yes.
the
Yeah.
hive mind. Okay.
But it is like an adaptation and an evolution.
Right.
Whereas
Yeah.
the hive mind itself is it's a naturally
Yes.
occurring thing.
Right.
Right. Whereas the brood mind.
as far as we're aware.
Yeah, as far as we're aware, like who knows if someone actually created like the
To me, it's just crazy that like they could adapt like
Right.
intelligence
Right.
to be able to
Yeah.
do that. Right.
it's pretty wild.
Maybe I could speak heresy. What if the emperor himself created the hive mind?
You can
Seems
speak
counterproductive.
You can speak that heresy, but
He's
maybe
a
you gotta
Norn
get closer to
Queen.
your mic.
That's why I was away from the mic.
Yeah,
Oh, there was-
because of your
Only a
speaking
few will.
here.
Only a
Don't-
few will
don't
hear the heresy.
hear.
The Inquisitors won't bust the door open yet.
So we've talked pretty much about what the hive mind is. Let's jump into what synapse creatures are and what they do.
Yeah.
These have the ability to commune with the hive mind and to be able to direct it by a specific adaptation only available to a few Tyranid creatures.
Mhm. Not every single creature has the ability to communicate and be enslaved by the hive mind.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them at all, actually.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because they're just going to do what they're going to do. Horma's going to Horma.
That's right.
Gaun's gonna gone.
It's going to go on.
The purpose, and we kind of stated this before, but the purpose of controlling any Tyranid creature comes down to abnormal behaviors. All Tyranids have an instinct that is implanted at their creation, and getting them to perform outside these natural directives requires a synapsed will that is slave to the hive mind, that in turn enslaves these lesser creatures.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need the Hormagons to just storm that wall regardless of casualties, and this is when you'd need that hive mind.
Yeah.
Because naturally... they
Or to hold back, even.
or to hold back, yeah.
Or
Because
to like
naturally...
do a pincer maneuver instead
Yes.
of going right through the wall.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Any of those, anything other than their basic instinct of like kill and feed,
Yeah.
needs a synapsed creature
Yeah.
to slave them.
To implement
Orchestrate.
strategy.
Tyranids will lace many synapse creatures within their armies. This has a twofold potential outcome. One is that the hive minds will, I get it.
The
Like,
will of the hive
the
mind.
willpower, not like the hive mind will do something.
Right.
One is that the hive mind's will can be more easily and aggressively felt, and the other is that the redundancy of protection.
Yeah, killing a single Tyranid warrior means nothing, right? When there's 50 other synapse creatures extending the will of the hive mind. So
Yeah.
it's a protection against yourself, but also it strengthens
Yeah.
the communication of the hive mind to all the lesser creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While each fleet is different in their approach, it's not uncommon to see a single Tyranid warrior controlling hundreds of lesser creatures.
Yeah, there's some like Kronos
yeah.
as a hive fleet is like known for building a lot of Synapse creatures and has a really strong synaptic connection to the Hive Mind.
Yeah.
Whereas like maybe Leviathan
Yeah.
doesn't really
Swarm.
care as much about that and is more just like we're gonna print the minimum amount
We're just
of
gonna gaunt it.
yeah, but like we'll
Still
just
need a
print
little, but
just
not.
enough to exert control
Yeah.
over it, but really we're swarming in large
Yeah,
numbers.
we're just gonna take you over by sheer mass bio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what Synapse creatures are and what their purpose is. Let's talk about all the specific ones that we have examples of. Starting with the biggest and probably, I don't know if it's the most important. I don't think so. I don't think it really matters, actually.
Probably important in terms of the Tyranids, but like not from like a on the tabletop
Oh, God,
perspective.
no, it has
Nobody
nothing
even
on-
knows
Yeah,
about this,
yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. So they're called Hive ships. These are the largest bioships in the Tyranid fleet. They have been adapted to act as a Synapse creature for the fleet. They have shown unique biomorphs and can even contend with an Imperial battleship when it comes to military might.
Yeah. So big spaceships growing with
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
squiddy tentacles.
I'll just, as an aside here, collecting a Tyranid army, it would have been cool to see, other than like the, when you're attacking seeding a planet.
Yeah.
Right. Like these drop ships, that come in, these like pods that explode, and then they kind of get out and they basically start devouring like the Tyranids. It'd be kind of cool if they had some sort of like if the Games Workshop create some sort of a carrier creature.
So
They do.
You
like, they
have
do.
been out for a while, but they do have like a giant think drop pod spore.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do. They do have that, but like other than like I think it's the Hierophant or a couple of others that like they have gaunts that can connect to the bottom of their
yeah.
body and go in as they're kind of flying in the air or like
Sure.
walking on the ground. Hydra.
Harridan?
Harridan, thank you. I
Harridan,
think it's the Harridan.
I got
like
you.
that one has like the
I do play
gargoyles
Tyrants.
connected to its like its chest as it's flying, or
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean. The Hierophant.
Just some more examples.
Yeah,
of it. Sure.
But like, it'd be kind of cool. Like, that's just an aside thought, because the Hive ships have always been in my mind kind of elusive. They're just not a part of the actual tabletop game. But
Yeah.
it would be cool if you could have a Hive ship that, like, I don't know, something that
They all,
I don't know.
It would be, but they're way too big.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Like-
I know it's not feasible, but
Yeah, these things like to understand, like they are kilometers long.
yeah, yeah.
Like very similar to Imperial battleships
Yeah.
in terms of size.
There's an old anime that has like a really
Yes.
good.
tentacle porn. Is that what you're?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm getting at. No, it's got a really good kind of visualization of what I imagined like the
ships to be.
spaceships would be
Yeah.
in Tyranids. They're all kind of modeled after like bacteria
Oh, okay.
and
yeah,
different organisms like
yeah.
that.
Cool.
It's called Gunbuster
Like floating
or
fungus in the
Diebuster.
air.
It's a good one.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Anime
Anyways,
is art.
totally
Yes.
jumped the rabbit hole on that one. Sorry. I just wanted to. I just think they're cool. I don't know.
Yeah. They are pretty wild.
There's models for it in like Battlefield.
Epic.
Yeah. In
Or
Epic.
Epic.
Yeah. Epic
Yeah.
has them. It's
No,
just-
it'd be Battlefield Gothic.
Is it?
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Battlefield
Oh, that's
Gothic.
right.
I
'Cause
thought
Epic
it
is for
said
the-
it was
yeah.
epic.
No. It's Battlefield Gothic. Their space game.
A lot of people are having aneurysms in the last few sentences that we just.
But I agree. I would like to see like a Thunderhawk size.
Totally right. Like something fun would. It should be fun.
Ship, right.
Instead of just
Yeah,
a
like how-
creature itself, like this mindless ship that kind of deposits these gaunts or something. I don't know. And just
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a thought.
Yeah, like how big is that Herodrum?
Harridan. Yeah, it's pretty
It's-
huge. Like the
yeah.
wings are probably like 4 inches each.
Okay.
So it's like big for sure.
Yeah. It's not Thunderhawk size, but it's still big.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Cool. So even though they function with military purpose, they seem to more focus on the protection of Norn Queens, ensuring the survival of the fleet. So
Yeah.
these aren't going out and they're not your frontline spaceships like attacking other fleets
No.
and stuff. They're more hanging back and
Yeah.
they can protect themselves, but they're not going in and
And there's the two reasons. Like one is just the fact that it has a Norn Queen, which
Yeah.
we're going to talk about, but it's also such a strong synaptic link to the Hive Mind.
Yeah.
It's important that the fleet doesn't lose that ship.
Yeah.
And so the Hive Mind then wouldn't be able to communicate with all the other ships.
Yeah.
So
Would a fleet have multiple hive ships?
Sure.
Or is it
nothing stopping it.
Yeah.
depending on how big it is?
We kind of put out, like when we were just thinking about it, that the smallest a fleet could still be and still have potential to survive and thrive is one Norn Queen and one Hive ship.
That would be
Anything
like
less
a
than
small scale splinter fleet or something.
that. Yeah, that's as small as you can get, because
Yeah.
as soon as you lose those,
Then you're just a bunch of Gribblies.
yeah,
Yeah.
Gribblies. Is that a real term?
Yeah, it may as well be.
Make an army after that.
be.
All words are made
Hive
up.
Fleet Grimly.
I like that.
They're all made up.
So Norn Queens, and this this is why Eric's saying what he's saying. Also called Splicer Beast, the Norn Queen resides in the central birthing chamber of the Hive ship. All Tyranids, from the lowliest Ripper to the mighty Hierophant, are all birthed by the Norn Queen at the direction of the Hive Mind.
And that's very important, at the direction of the Hive Mind.
And the whole fact that this is where all Tyranid creatures come from.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a Hive ship with a Norn Queen on it, you can't create any stuff.
Sure, like you could still mess crap up, right? You're still like an army and everything, but at some point you'll just start losing people and you can't replace them. And that's where,
as far as we're aware, Norn Queens are still birthed by Norn Queens.
Yeah, this was one of my misconceptions, was that the Norn Queen was somehow linked to like the creation or direction of the Hive Mind.
Right.
But it's just another Tyranid organism.
That has been
role
adapted.
is to
just birth
out more.
Yeah.
That's a misconception I had for sure. Yeah.
So,
having the Norn Queen, a Synapse creature, is a complete evolutionary necessity. If it wasn't a slave, oh my god.
It wasn't
be
a
okay.
slave.
You okay there? It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's all right. Just get
If it
emotional
wasn't
there.
a slave to the Hive Mind's will, it would follow its instinct just to birth.
Yeah.
And it will birth anything and everything.
Yeah. And so this is also kind of, I don't think, is the Hive Mind a Synapse creature itself?
I don't think we ever looked at
the
that.
Hive Mind or the Norn?
Oh, sorry,
the
Norn
Norn Queen.
The Norn Queen.
Yeah, it's a Synapse
I
creature.
think I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it resides in the Hive ship, which
Yeah.
is also a Synapse creature.
Yeah,
like there's
right.
so much Synapse.
It's like
in the-
amplified again, or it's like a ship of amplification.
It's just.
So then it would always have access to it unless it's like...
But if it
It's
wasn't like, because it's a specific adaptation.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
If there's no Hive ship, like a dominatrix is going to put a Norn Queen on the planet.
Yeah.
Right. If there's no synaptic creature around that Norn Queen, it's just going to do what
it
its
needs to.
directive is, and that's
Birth.
just birth. But that doesn't mean it's birthing anything important.
It just like starts birthing whatever.
So then the Norn Queen isn't a Synapse creature.
It is.
But then it would always have access to the
Yes,
Hive
but
Mind.
imagine it didn't have that adaptation.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
I see
It's
what
very
adapted
important
for it.
Yes.
It's been given the ability to be a Synapse creature, and if it didn't have
because
that,
of the importance that it has.
Exactly.
Specific
Yeah.
birthing.
That's all
patterns and
that's all
stuff.
I'm
Sorry,
saying here.
I misunderstood the what if scenario.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why it's very important, because its instinct is to birth, but it doesn't. Its instinct isn't to birth like Hive Tyrants with like specific adaptations.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's just birthing. So what if it's just what it would birth is just a mess? It's a
Yeah.
genetic mess,
It's
or
not
it
even
just,
a creature. It's
Yeah,
just-
it might just be like bleh, like just think
placenta.
like Akira. Think like Akira. It's just
Oh,
a
man.
mess of like
Yeah.
genetic code, right? Like it doesn't mean anything, but the Hive Mind understands like purpose, right, and direction, and the need to go beyond things. So it's directing the Norn
That's a
Queen
horrifying image.
to
Yeah,
birth
that is.
specific.
Can't compare anything to
things.
Akira
I love
and
it.
not have that just like flash into your memory. Like,
Yeah. But yeah, that's why this Norn Queen being a synaptic creature is extreme. I think this one is the most important to be a synaptic creature,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, for sure.
pretty much leads like the development of what a Splinter Fleet would do. You know.
Yeah. To feed and sustain this birthing process, which requires very large amount of biomass and genetic material, they are fed by massive capillary towers that extend all the way from the planet's surface to the ship itself.
Yeah.
And then it's stored in the ship until the Norn Queen needs it.
They have, I think they're called coffin crawlers or something that actually go, like, they collect it all in the ship itself and they put it in like the massive feeding maw of like the Norn Queen. They just like bleh, drop it all
Oh,
in
really?
there.
I just pictured it as like because the capillary towers are like big straws that
Yeah,
go
yeah,
into
yeah.
pools. I just pictured it more of like, I don't know, going into the ship's veins and then it would just pump back into the Norn
It
Queen
very
or
well,
something.
like, there's nothing saying it wouldn't
Doesn't,
work like that,
yeah.
but there is an example.
humor my
of-
vision.
But there is an example of
Oh, yeah.
actual bugs collecting like
Oh.
in the ship and taking it to the
Certain
Norn Queen and
proteins
dropping
or-
it in.
Yeah.
Like
dropping it in.
It might-
soldier ants or something.
Yeah.
I think it is
exactly.
too. Both those
It's
are
the
true.
both.
It's
Yeah.
probably
Because
both, yeah.
no, I know it's both because the Norn Queen is tied to the Hive ship by
Right.
tubes
Right.
itself.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have
I guess
to
it,
be.
yeah, no.
But yeah, so maybe those what do you call them?
Coffin crawlers?
Coffin crawlers are going around the Hive ship and collecting like if people invaded it, killed a bunch of gaunts, now there's dead gaunts on the inside. Maybe they're collecting those. Or if there's a dead, yes, exactly. If there's a dead part of the ship, it goes collects that. Something that they haven't taken through the capillary towers.
Solid versus liquid biomass.
It also could be the fact that, imagine they collect so much biomass that the Norn Queen can't handle it all in one go, so it needs to be stored.
Oh, she could take it all.
She'll take it. There can be multiple Norn Queens birthing Tyranids on different Hive ships within the same fleet.
Right.
Because both are Synapse creatures, they work and function in complete unity through the direction of the Hive.
They will never compete with each other while they're in the same Hive fleet.
They're just doing the same redundancy.
Yeah. It could. Yeah, it's also that, but it's also just it would just double the birthing speed.
Right.
That's what
right,
I mean.
and like the volume that you can put out. So
the one crazy thing too is sometimes the scale of 40K is crazy. So we don't know how big a Norn Queen is, but it could be very fucking big. Like, it could be a kilometer-sized beast in the bowels of a Hive ship.
Right.
It's going to be pretty big, actually.
It would have to be pretty big to birth other things.
Exactly.
And it also probably depends on what that specific Norn Queen is birthing, too. Like, if its directive is to just spawn gaunts, it probably doesn't need to be huge.
It might have a bigger biomorph birthing canal.
no,
seriously,
yeah,
for sure.
Something also has to birth a Hive ship, too, right? Like,
well, we kind of did think about that, and everything is probably birthed in like a larva stage form.
and then just
and
like
right, that makes sense.
Because
so matures at a fast rate or something.
exactly,
It's not
it's like an
birthing a
accelerator.
Right. Yeah, it's not like you're going to get a Carnifex in it. Well, you could, but but
it's most likely
creature.
going to be some larva form.
Smaller
The one
state.
example we do have, but it's so outdated, is the unit called the Dominatrix, what we're going to get into.
It's next, actually.
Yeah, and it's a kilometer. Or no, sorry. It's an equivalent to like Imperial Titans. Like it's
just
could
massive.
be
Big girl.
100 feet tall.
Yeah.
Now, once again, it's pretty old. Like
This
30
is super
different
old.
game.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of information on it, but
Because they've stopped giving information about
Yeah.
it, so
but
it
there
could just be
is-
a throwaway.
there is a Norn Queen inside of it. So
Yeah.
Norn Queens are going to be pretty big. Like
Yeah.
they're going to be big. Like they could be fucking huge, size of a couple houses, size of a mansion. Like they're going to be big. That's all. Thank you for coming to my Mark talk.
My TED talk. So that's Norn Queens. So let's talk about Dominatrix. So these stunningly massive creatures, potentially dwarfing Imperial Warhound Titans, are very rare. And they are only seen in the most advanced Tyranid swarms, and they perform an extremely specialized task. They don't birth these to battle Titans at all.
No.
They're born, and so inside them resides a Norn Queen, the mother of all Tyranids. It is the Dominatrix's duty to transport and protect the splicer beast within.
Yeah.
And whether that's like take it from Hive ship to planet, take it from planet back up to the Hive ship. Because the interesting thing is, like, if there's only one Norn Queen in your fleet, you can't just throw the Norn Queen into the reclamation pool. Right? In order to bring it back up to the ship,
It's
you
gotta be
actually
moved.
have to transport it.
Yeah.
why
So-
would you ever need to bring a Norn Queen down to the battlefield? Just for more efficient spawning?
Absolutely.
I guess.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Seems
need
like
to,
such a valuable resource to like take away
True,
from.
but I mean, like, say if you're losing so badly or something, you got to transport it somewhere, and you got to really
take the
I don't
goalie
know.
out.
So
I don't know.
the-
Yeah, basically.
The Norn Queen is only valuable though if there's only one of them.
That's
if you
right.
have 50
Right.
Norn Queens, they're not
Who
valuable.
cares?
It's a redundancy.
Yeah,
that
yeah, you could take it
Tyranids
down.
actually-
You can take it down. It's not a big
You could
deal.
go set it in the mountain somewhere that you have a city like 3 kilometers away,
Start
or even
pooping
further.
out gaunts.
Just start, literally just going to town.
Yeah.
This is my official petition for a dominatrix model.
I was gonna just
It
say
would
that.
be so big.
Let's fucking
But it would
come
be
on.
so awesome.
There's Warlord Titans.
Exactly.
Let's do it.
I'd love to see like people paint those things and make them all kitted out. That'd be amazing.
Even a Norn Queen. I
Right?
mean, you'd kind of have to have both though.
You need to have both. I think, you know what, Games Workshop,
You
we're going to
wouldn't need
petition it.
both.
All the Tyranid players
Why
will
not?
get together and say we want a
If
dominatrix.
on the tabletop, the only way
Sign the
that
petition.
a
2020.
Norn Queen could be on planet, then it would have to have a dominatrix with it, wouldn't it?
But you wouldn't have to have a model for it. You could just say it brought it.
That there's a Norn Queen inside.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
that's how it
dominatrix.
goes. Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
And then
I just want a model.
Mark
my
and I-
official
Mark and I
petition
had
for
two
both
very,
models.
Yeah.
We had two very different images of the Norn
Us?
Queen
Different. Different visions.
residing in the dominatrix's body. Like my picture was always like it's like a stasis inside the dominatrix. Like this dominatrix, either has the Norn Queen larva inside that then grows, or it just a Norn Queen literally opens a cavity in a dominatrix and crawls in and then sleeps while like the transport process is happening. And then I was like, well, obviously like, it can't give birth while it's in there. But Mark was like, no, like what if it's just literally in there birthing things? Like there's creatures inside the dominatrix, taking care
just,
of it.
Like, opens up.
Yeah, and then like
barfs out a whole
swarms will
bunch of-
come out, right?
Yeah,
so
maybe.
we had different
Yeah.
potential images of what it would be.
It just goes back to like it's such an old.
Yeah, like
throwback.
Mark said, they don't talk about
literally
it anymore.
anything
No
could
idea.
be. Yeah.
Yeah, oftentimes we get flack for like they don't know what they're talking about. It's like,
just like,
no
well,
one knows.
no
what
one
we're
knows
saying. We
what-
don't
yeah.
know.
Because it's literally
Especially
one
with
word in some
Tyranids.
codex we found somewhere, and
Yeah.
it's like, what the heck does that even mean?
We went back pretty far for this
Yeah.
episode. We were looking at 2nd and 3rd edition
Yeah.
Tyranids, trying to like
figure it out.
get
That's where
everything we
most of the
could.
information
true.
is, because
It's
it really
true.
hasn't evolved
Exactly.
a ton.
Yeah. And mind you, it keeps some of that mystique and mythos because, you know, if you start explaining something, then
Yep.
it's not
yeah,
like
that
That's
is
what makes it
specifically
cool.
said is like
yeah.
undescribed.
What?
I don't even know what you're trying.
5,
What are you
6, 7,
trying-
8.
You're all right over
It's
there?
described as uncomprehendable.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Specifically. So
Yeah.
aside Tyranid bodies, the shape. Oh, okay.
So that's
get
it for
what's happening.
Dominatrix, though.
Yes.
We're done. We're
Yes.
done. So that was Hive Ships, Norn Queens, and Dominatrix, the largest of the Synapse creatures,
Yeah.
arguably the most important for the survival of the race and the sustainability.
Yeah. Without a hive ship, you can't go anywhere. Without Norn Queens, you can't birth anything.
Without Dominatrix, you can't protect
It's
your Norn
kind of
Queen.
like your roads, like for a government, you know, and like society.
Who's
Yeah.
going to build the
yeah,
goddamn roads?
Who's gonna build the roads?
Who's gonna impregnate the Norn
create
Queen?
water treatment plants and take care of our garbage? It's kind of the Norn Queen and the Hive ships. If you don't have that, you don't
3
have a society.
musketeers of the Tyranid infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
It's the Trinity. There are some accounts of Imperium they think that if you kill like the Norn Queen, you like cut off the head of the Tyranid race, and then we can now kill it because it's like a useless fleet. It's just aimlessly drifting, and that is not true at all.
Yeah.
Killing a Norn Queen does not lower the effectiveness of the army of the Tyranid Queen at all.
Because it's just one
It's
of
just
many
one
synapse
of many
creatures.
other
exactly.
synapse around
Yeah,
it,
it only matters if it's the last synapse creature.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right? So
Then everything else scatters.
Or the last
But-
Norn Queen.
I'm sure it would cut off some effectiveness if it was a small splinter fleet.
Yes.
And they only
Of-
had one Norn
Yeah,
Queen.
Exactly.
The- but
then
the-
they lose
the-
that ability to
create,
Yeah.
but there's still a deadly army
Yes,
until
totally.
All of
everything
it's
is
wiped
killed.
out.
Yes.
Yeah. You got to
Yes.
kill all the synapse
Yeah.
creatures, kill them, then you can deal with the small ones if you need to. But so the synapse creature.
all the gribblies.
all the
Yeah, all the gribbles.
The gribblies, yeah.
Gribblies.
So we're going to talk about all the other synapse creatures. But before we get into that, we don't want to have to list all the biomorphs. We don't want to have to describe.
It would
There's
take
a
too long.
lot.
And
Just go get the codex.
So
True.
for Tyranid warriors, there's 212.
How dare you?
How dare I?
How dare you?
Like you can just biomorph the shit out of everything.
I love it.
And their
I love
bodies, while all different, they all kind of share a shape. Or sorry, the shape and size may vary, but they all kind of share a similar body type. They have a
Dad
serpentine.
bod. That's the body.
They have a serpentine exoskeleton body. Vital areas are covered in hard chitin.
Chitin.
So like their back will have chitin.
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 Chitin. We'll get it. We'll do this all day.
So then they'll typically have a head, or they will have a head. But not always. Like the exocrine
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
really have. It's
Yeah.
more.
Well,
fused
this
into
one
its
doesn't
body.
really have a head.
Yeah.
It does. You can very clearly see
Well-
the. Does it have a brain and eyes? Has a head.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's room for a brain. It's mostly canon.
So yeah. So they'll have a head, they'll have a body, a tail, and they'll have 6 limbs. 2 will usually be used for walking. 4 will be used for extra support. So like they'll have like scything talons, which they'll use to kind of extra walk and
It's just
support.
6 legs is
The
The
pretty
6 limbs
standard.
thing is-
6
Yeah.
limbs, yeah.
6 limbs is
It's
pretty standard across
everything.
the Tyranids.
People are specific about that one. I made a conversion once,
Yeah.
and I forgot the 5th and 6th limbs.
Oh god.
And it was
fool.
like fucking sacrilege on the internet, man.
I don't know. Like, what if the Hive Fleet doesn't need that? Right? I don't know.
But like you can see like some of the like things like zoanthropes would
Yeah.
never use
Those
those
little-
little claws. They're still there hanging as like a little
there's
T-Rex.
still
Like
6
that's
of
like
them.
They're like
kind of
Yeah.
seems like it's always there.
Yeah. It's
Sure.
true. They have 6 limbs.
Sure, I'm not going to get into that right in here. We'll do it later.
We'll do it later. We'll drop the gloves later.
Yeah.
And then like I said about the biomorphs, they can all take different biomorphs.
Yep.
Like it's even hypothetical. Norn Queens can take biomorphs.
Yep.
We don't know, but
Yep.
probably they
You would
could.
assume.
Oh, they're probably full of
Yeah.
biomorphs.
So if you want to learn more about the biomorphs, go to episode 50, and then you can come up with your own combinations of what is what.
We go into biomorphs. I don't know if we fully dive in, do we?
Oh yeah, like we did
do?
an entire biomorph episode where we covered
Okay.
every biomorph from walking to venom cannons
And
So-
teeth and claws,
Yeah.
and teeth and claw
which
biomorphs.
doesn't make sense.
Separate organisms.
Yeah.
They're alive. In
That
their
one's
own
dumb,
right.
but okay.
So let's start with the Hive Tyrant.
So
Very cool.
the Hive Tyrant is a monstrous creature 3 times the height of a man, and these are commanders of the Tyranid armies. Battles are won through the strategies and intellect of the Hive Tyrants, sometimes even bordering on genius. These creatures are constantly reborn through the Norn Queen and keep their experiences and knowledge with them, and that is unique specifically to Hive Tyrants.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And this is kind of like what you were saying, where their experiences that they've,
Collected
had
or
on
existed.
completely separate
Yeah.
sides of the galaxy. If they come back together, they could spawn a new Hive Tyrant
Yep.
that will have learned both sides of those
Yep.
battles
Yeah,
on
which is
opposite sides of
crazy.
the universe.
Yeah.
And Hive
Don't
Tyrants
want that.
Hive Tyrants are kind of given like freedom
Yeah.
to
More autonomy.
yeah,
Yeah.
a little more ability to interact and assess and make decisions.
Right.
And they develop a little bit of like a character or a personality in terms of how do they prefer to wage war?
Yeah.
What
Yep.
tactics do they like to use? Do they like to command from the back or are they right at the
leading
front?
it, yeah.
And
Some have even known to develop like grudges and
Yeah.
stuff.
Specific
Yeah.
like enemies that it has like this fixation on. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the interesting thing is when this Hive Tyrant dies, how this happens, like we might have conjecture and we can think about it, but the truth is that personality and that essence of the Hive Tyrant, which would normally
Essence of Hive Tyrant.
which would
Toilet,
normally
the
just
toilet.
disappear into like the Hive Mind, is actually kept separate and it's kept like together until the next Hive Tyrant is born, and then that personality and character is placed into the Hive Tyrant. So they are effectively immortal in that
Yes. And there's
sense.
even more specific examples with like the Swarm Lord, who
Yep.
is
Yep.
like a named
Yeah.
creature that's been recognized in different places throughout the galaxy
But
and
seem to be
pinpointed as
consistent.
the
Yeah.
Swarm Lord.
Yeah.
And they say
In
that they
different
only
fleets and
spawn
everything.
that in like the most dire need.
Circumstances. Yeah.
Like
and
circumstances,
that is a
yeah.
very cool aspect
Yeah.
of
Yes.
this ability.
Yeah.
But it's also unique because nothing else does this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no other creature that is given its personality
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Everything else is just an instinct
Yeah,
beast, whereas the
that's true.
Hive Tyrant is
It has its
more.
own personality.
It's more of like a human understanding that
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah. That's very true.
And I think that the same personality could potentially be in different places at once.
Yep.
Yep.
Why not?
Because I think the
They're all just
Swarm Lord
different
is-
iterations, right? So if
Yep.
In different
our
places
hive
right
if
now.
our hive fleets mix and merge, and like your Hive Tyrant knows this and my Hive Tyrant knows this, and all of a sudden we mix, like
Yeah.
I might be like, oh man, your Hive Tyrant is so much better than mine. I'm just gonna birth
Yeah.
your Hive
Yeah.
Tyrant, right? Why would I bother with mine?
Do you think you can have? We'll use the Swarm Lord as the easiest example. Do you think you can have the Swarm Lord twice in the same fleet though? Because like when you break off fleets,
Good question.
they're essentially two separate
Yeah.
hive minds, two clones. So
Right.
they're creating their own. One's taking the sentience one way and the other way.
Right.
But if it's in the same fleet, do you think you could have multiple Swarm Lords?
I think you could.
I would say it would be cooler if not, but I
Right.
think that you
I think you
totally
could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like if you have the ability to transfer it to another fleet,
Yeah, then you-
could
what
probably
stops
just
you from
keep
copying it?
making multiple.
Yeah.
ones,
Like
so.
if I was smart, I'd just have like 80 million swarm lords and go
Well,
in
you've
there.
just used all your biomass.
Yeah.
True. No, I know that. Like I
So
know
you're not smart.
Or right now,
You're
there's
a
two
shitty
Swarm
idiot.
Lords that are like
No.
active, like in
Sure.
recent
No.
times.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't have
There's
multiple.
I
one
don't
in
think so.
Octarius.
Why?
Oh, you disagree. You don't think
They develop differently, so you might birth them and they might be the same,
Yeah.
right? But in the end, this kind of goes back to like humanity, but like if you and I experience the same thing, we perceive them differently.
Yeah.
Right? We won't have the same reaction to the
Yeah.
same thing. And so as soon as that first choice is made or whatever, they are now separate.
Yeah.
And they're learning and growing at different rates. So I think you can birth them the same, but they're not acting together.
Yeah.
They're acting separately.
Yeah,
But
like
also-
technically
I see what
there's
you're saying.
Swarm Lord 1, Swarm Lord 2. They're
Right,
not
right.
Swarm Lords.
Like-
right.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
Another thing is
Yeah.
that why would you need multiple Hive Tyrants when one is all that's like they're the strongest synaptic creature?
It's a redundancy, yeah.
But in the same vein, if they do develop separate personalities, then like their experience could like differ from each other, and they could create like a council of Hive Tyrants
Yeah.
to like lead a major battle
Isn't
or
that
something.
just the Hive Mind
Yeah,
at that point?
Yeah.
but if they do have like separate experiences while developing on the battlefield, like
Yeah.
they could like they could like
Theoretically,
so
you could get
share
them.
different clicks and clacks
Yeah.
to
What
each
is
other.
it like? How much energy? How much energy does it take to create a Hive Tyrant? Right? What biomass is needed?
There's
Like,
yeah.
how much energy does it take to sustain a Hive Tyrant and its synaptic link?
Right.
Right? Because the smart thing to do would be birth the strongest warrior of the Tyranids always, and only birth that. Why would I bother with a Ripper when I can make a Hive Tyrant? Well, the truth is there's restrictions on everything. So we don't know exactly what those restrictions are, but that's how you limit it.
And birthing time would be a big one probably, and like
how long do these
nutrients
gestate for? Because they're so much more
How much
complex.
actual resource it's using? Because I feel like in the Swarmlord example, they say like, it's like a last ditch effort, so maybe it's like super inefficient to produce him,
and then it has to do it.
And it's like, well, we're kind of fucked if we don't.
Yeah.
So here's an example of some notable Hive Tyrants. So there's the Swarmlord, there's the Nephilim King, the Dagon Overlord, and the King in Green. Like there's 4 examples of individual Hive Tyrants that probably like
have their own. Like,
if you're a Hive Fleet, Mark, and you want to burst something, sorry. If you're a Hive Fleet, like you're gonna look at this battle and you're like, for this I need the Dagon Overlord.
Yeah.
He wages war in a very specific way, and I'm gonna birth that.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're like, I need the Swarmlord for this because this is just an overrun, or however the Swarmlord likes to wage war, right? And that's an interesting thing is they actually develop their own personality.
Now,
Whereas no other Tyranid does that.
Yeah.
Here's
very
one more
specific.
interesting thought about the Swarmlord. So for it to be in every fleet, it would have had to been around when the Tyranids started crossing the galaxy.
Yes.
It's not a new creation.
Yeah, it would have been in the databanks.
The Dagon, the Green Dagon, or whatever
The
you
Dagon
said.
Overlord.
That's unique to a certain Hive fleet, and it's not seen in other Hive fleets, or it might be seen in
Oh,
one
yeah,
or
you're
two.
right.
Well,
maybe it
yeah.
hasn't met up with the
Exactly.
larger
The
But
over-
Swarmlord can be seen in every Hive fleet, which means
Right.
it's truly ancient and
Right.
comes from another galaxy.
Right.
Yeah, Lexicanum straight up says that Swarmlord is old as the Tyranid race is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
So it means
it's
it doesn't come from
got
So that's
aeons
very
of
cool.
experience.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So in their like DNA banks or whatever, they like have this material to build the Swarmlord.
their trump
Not,
card.
but it's
Their
not
trump card.
just DNA though. That's the interesting thing about the Swarmlord is how do you genetically reproduce someone's character and
thoughts.
person?
Right.
And
Obviously, there's a
thoughts.
part of the Hive
experiences.
Mind
Oh, you
synapse in
just
there. Yeah.
pi around the 0.
Oh yeah,
Yep, that's
of
just
course.
It's simple math.
simple math.
I'm glad you understand everything about the Tyranids. Very happy you're on the show.
Hive Tyrants have the most complex and strong connection to the Hive Mind. Because of this, a potentially expanded cerebral function, they're capable of tapping into warp energies through the Hive Mind and their connection to it.
Yeah, this was another one of our big how do?
Yeah.
What is?
Yeah. Do Tyranids actually use warp?
Right.
They do.
Yeah.
What about chaos, right? Like
How does their warp connection work?
Yeah.
We'll get into
that's
it
the
at the
biggest
end.
We'll get
question.
into it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the biggest
they
one.
do use warp energy.
Yeah.
And
That's very
the
clear.
Hive Tyrant is known to be very good at it. And
Right.
we've made the connection that it's specifically because of the synapse.
Well, yeah, all the synapse
But that's
creatures
interesting to know. Like, even though
target.
all Tyranids are psychic,
Yeah.
not all Tyranids are capable of manifesting energy. And it specifically does have to do with synaptic connection and strength.
When I originally started Tyranids, I would have been like 12. I totally thought that they all like just resided in the warp.
Right. Yeah.
Like I thought that
Like
that's
creatures
why
in
the
the
shadow
warp.
and the warp
Yeah.
was a thing because they were all talking because they were physically there.
Right.
So you
yeah.
weren't
like it, like
gifted child mentally. is what
everywhere
I'm
they
No,
go.
that's exactly what I was gonna.
So
Just a lowly ripper.
Lily Ripper of a child.
You're thinking like everywhere they go, they bring like the Eye of Terror with them. Like they're ripping a hole into like reality everywhere they go. Is that what you were thinking? And like they're
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I just thought that they were.
Because that would be sweet.
that they were a warp creature, but then that's more like a chaos thing, right?
Yeah.
So
The chaos is
Strong. Chaos is
strong. No, chaos is
Hive
not
mind.
food
Hive mind.
for Tyranids. They
Right.
cannot sustain themselves
Right.
on the stuff of the warp. So even though they use it,
It's got no nutrition. It's
yeah,
just
it has
junk
nothing.
food.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Just carbs. A bunch of waste of your. Yeah.
So let's go into Tyranid warriors as kind of the next common Synapse creature. These are the most expendable of a host of important creatures, often used as shock assault troops in conjunction with lesser Tyranids. They are the most common conduits of the Hive Minds. The Hive Mind will use upon lesser.
the Hive Mind's will.
The will
Got
catch
you
us.
again.
Yeah, I know. That's tough.
Can we capitalize will?
The Hive Mind's will.
They are the most common conduit of the Hive Mind's will upon the lesser Tyranids. I
Yeah.
only know because I wrote it. That's why. Yeah, but these are your standard, most common synaptic creatures.
Yeah.
Like this is what you'll see dispersed throughout armies
Yeah.
to slave all the lesser ones.
And they're just there to kind of give the Synapse, but not like a Hive Tyrant who can command
right.
and strategize with it, but just
Exactly.
provide so they're not Gribblies.
Yeah.
So they stand. So they're not Gribblies.
No Gribblies.
Standing taller than the height of a man, they wield terrifying weapons and are much faster than they seem.
Mm-hmm.
The one cool thing about them is if a Hive Tyrant are the commanders, the warriors are the captains and lieutenants spreading the orders down the chain. It is very important that the Hive Tyrant orders get passed on, so warrior broods are often cultured from the flesh of their commanding tyrant.
That's
This is-
cool.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
This genetic similarity also seems to strengthen their psychic bond.
Yeah, so like it's really important, right, that you have like a strong connection between you and then everyone down the chain.
Yeah.
So instead of the Norn Queen, instead of just birthing random warriors, they'll culture flesh from the Hive Tyrant in order to, it's like he's the father in children is effectively what it is, but in a much stronger sense than the Tyranid race
Like
as
they
a whole.
actually listen to their father.
Yeah.
Right, not like
Not like-
those goddamn Primarchs.
Too bad they suck on the tabletop.
But this is
Sounds so
interesting.
cool.
Is there's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
like there's an
Like
actual
grafted
need.
from
From
the actual
tyrant.
Hive Tyrant.
Yeah.
I'm human, so I just imagine them cutting a slice of flesh
It's
off
like
the Hive Tyrant.
Even more to the fact that the Hive Tyrant's kind of an anomaly
Mhm.
Yeah.
of the rest of how
In a way, it
the Hive
reproduces
Tyrant,
itself, sort of.
yeah,
Like in a weird.
it's got
yeah.
so many specific things that
Super
none of
cool
the other
traits.
ones do.
Totally.
So there's also a couple different kinds of Tyranid warriors, like a Shrike. It just isn't. It didn't make
It's just
any
a different
sense.
biomorph.
Yeah, it didn't
Yeah.
make any sense for us to list a Shrike separately
Right.
from a warrior because
Right.
it is just a
Yeah.
biomorph.
Yeah.
So like I said, there's 212, but we're just going to pick our favorite 50. and
Yeah,
go
yeah.
through them.
So the first one is you have the biomorph of flying.
I love it.
Yeah. The next one is you have leaping,
Not as good as flying, but I
Yeah.
still love it.
and then but you can have
Maybe the gravity's too. No, the air currents. It's too.
Sure.
Yes. Perfect.
and then the next variant we have is flying and leaping.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next biomorph that we have is scything talons and leaping and flying.
Shit.
The next one we have is flying
four
and scything
already.
talons.
Oh man, I can't deal with this, guys.
The next one
It's
we
not
have
going well.
is leaping and scything talons.
Okay.
The next one we
Okay,
have.
I think they get the point. I think they get the
I'm
200
personally a fan of the walking
yeah.
variant of
Right.
So-
biomorphs.
You pay points for each of those.
30.
instead of like
Yes.
talons. It's all just the
Extra
legs.
Yeah.
feet. I'm gonna model
I
that.
kind of would. Actually, that'd be kind of a fun model to build.
No,
Just like these little
stop.
tiny little talons of like, what are those? I don't know.
Just goes like 30 inches a
Right.
turn.
Yeah.
Doesn't really do anything
It just
else.
moves real fast.
Yeah, and so I think it said Tyranid warriors are the most mutable, or did it say Hive Tyrants are the most mutable? I'm on the Hive Tyrant page right now.
Yeah, one and the same, right?
They're very similar. Okay, so they just said Hive Tyrants are highly mutable. So mutable is the ability to give them biomorphs. Like
Sure.
They would probably be the most mutable. The only other
The
one
Warriors,
I,
I
could think,
totally see them.
Yeah, the only other one I could think of would be a Carnifex, but then they don't have the mutability of like
they can't get
being-
wings.
No.
Yeah, wings,
Yeah.
and they don't have synapse,
The
which is a whole
synaptic
new
thing,
thing.
yeah.
So and this is why you have specific this is why you have rippers and warriors. Rippers serve a very specific purpose, and you can't give them all the same biomorphs.
Yeah,
You wouldn't want to,
Well,
yeah.
but you also can't, right? Like there's a different, like you cannot play some
Never
biomorphs.
say never, Eric.
But but it does seem to be there is that restriction on them,
Right.
right? And so that's an important aspect of the warrior is that they're very customizable for specific scenarios.
Some Tyranids you glue their arms on, others you just use magnets, so you can just.
Yep.
Switch them all out.
Gribblies.
Oh,
So
Gribblies.
we do have Gribblies. We do have a Tyranid Prime, which is, I guess, separate from a regular Tyranid Warrior, kinda.
I feel like this would be the lieutenant
Yeah.
to the
to the
general that is
Yeah.
Or the
Hive
captain.
Tyrant.
captain
or
or
the
Right.
sergeants. Yeah.
Yeah, but basically they're a more intelligent than a standard warrior who is known to lead warrior broods.
Yeah. So if maybe they didn't need to birth a Hive Tyrant, so instead they birthed a Warrior Prime.
Yeah, so he's gonna
Yeah.
still have some tactical knowledge.
Some autonomy,
Yeah.
not as much
Not
as
as
the
much.
Hive Tyrant,
Yeah.
but still more than capable of waging war.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And interestingly, I don't think warriors can harness the warp.
where
They
the
are
Prime
synaptic.
can.
The Prime can,
the
Oh,
prime
okay.
does have
I think
its
they can,
abilities.
but
do.
not the regular
I think
warriors.
you're right. The primes do.
So it's like a closer DNA
Yeah.
graft to the Hive
Yeah.
So,
Tyrant.
like, obviously, the resources required
Yeah.
and time
Yeah.
and biomass. Like, if the Hive Tyrant's up here, right, super tough to make, then the Prime is a little easier, but it can't do as much, right? And it just goes
Yeah.
all the way
Yeah,
down
it's
the
cool.
chain to the bottom.
Yeah. So that's Tyranid warriors. So like all these Synapse creatures, they serve a very different purpose. So we'll talk about the Turvagon next.
So the Turvagon is a large incubator for swarms of termagants. And the termagants lay dormant under the carapace of the Turvagon until it unleashes like a little psychic zap to awaken them. And it happens apparently instantly. There's no like
Right.
cold like wake up. It's just you're asleep, boom, now you're awake, now you're my slave, attack or defend, right? So,
Right. And they're loaded with like a specific amount of gaunts. They don't actually birth more.
Yes,
They don't birth.
This is a very important distinction.
Yeah.
They are not capable of birth
birthing, yeah.
at all.
They're just a transport,
transport.
essentially.
Yes. So
I like to think that they carry around a bunch of like larvae termagants.
Oh, yes.
And then
They just, like,
when
grow.
they incubate, exactly. Then they can like super incubate them, so they can,
Totally makes sense.
So they're carrying like small egg size
Basically,
things,
yeah,
and like
yeah.
they can incubate it super quick, so it grows more.
I imagine,
so they
like-
can carry like a bunch of them on.
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I imagine like in a hive ship, they're walking around and then like little like coffin. What were they? The
Coffin crawlers?
Yeah, coffin crawlers.
load
like,
'em up.
Load them up with larvae, and they walk around and like these things just get sent into.
there's nothing. It doesn't.
Yeah.
There's no confirmation that it's larva.
Sure,
but
sure.
to
But like
think
I can
that
just,
is-
I'm assuming from what my mind's eye, that's what
Yeah.
happens.
That or
kinda
they
cool.
just really like ball up,
pack them in.
Right.
pack them
Yeah,
in,
just
like
like-
just really ball them
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Or they're
But, yeah.
even adapted with like eggs inside of it or some weird thing like
Yeah.
that.
Who knows? Yeah, that's good.
The interesting thing is that, like, let's say they wake up a termagant, right? Because they have a need of it, and then the need passes. Like, what happens to that termagant? Does the tervagon consume it? Does it go back under the carapace to be awoken later?
Yeah, it just
That's
falls
the-
out and follows it around, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. But it also just requires energy to stay alive and to slave it to its will. So
Yeah, I think that depends on how you see these things working.
Yeah,
'Cause,
exactly.
If they are like actual larvae and they super incubate it,
Right.
then they're just going to put them back into the reclamation pools. But if they're just
or just eat it.
eat it. But if they're like fully grown gaunts that are just tightly packed
Right.
in,
They'll just put it back under the shell and
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back
yeah.
into a coma.
Yeah. So while most Tyranids either go dormant or are consumed during space travel, the Termagon will instead roam the hive ship and other Tyranid ships, watching for invasions and activating its brood when danger arrives. And
It's one of the
that's-
few that are actually alive during space
yeah,
travel.
Oh,
and
that's
that's like
weird.
its kind of primary goal, I would say. Like
like a
sure, you
sentry.
see it on tabletop and stuff, but like,
It's way more important during space travel.
Interesting.
yeah.
Especially because when you think about it, it doesn't require a lot. Like, it's one thing to keep swarms of termagants alive, but when it's just a single creature commanding hordes of them,
Yeah.
like it's just resource management at that point,
Exactly.
right? Like it's easier to have this one guy do it, even though he's large. He just consumes less than hordes and hordes
Sure.
and swarms of this.
Yeah.
And then they've got like something ready just in case
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
they can blow all
Yeah.
the termagants out and then continue to spawn.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Unique to the Tervagon, when it's killed, its entire brood of termagants will also die.
Yeah. So this is something that doesn't happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is like
Kind of a anomaly.
Chain reaction thing.
Yeah.
and the question I kind of posed was, does this have to do with prolonged exposure to the Turvagon's synapse?
Like they've been chained so.
Chained to that specific creature.
Yeah, because anytime a battle happens, these creatures are birthed for a very specific, like a battle.
Yeah.
Like you have your Hormigons birthed, they're slave to the synapse, and then when the battle is done, they just die, right? Whereas these Termagants are existing for a very long, potentially thousands of years as these ships travel the dark void of space. And that entire time, they are connected with this Turvagon and slave
So
to
it's like
its will.
imprinted.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah.
Could that be the
Makes sense.
rationalization
Yeah.
of why they die? It's just like a death knell.
Yeah.
Right?
That's interesting. So then that could change my picture maybe of the Turvagon. Like it is birthed with these larvae or something in them that are used from the Turvagon's DNA.
Like
so
the
they're
Termagants are a biomorph within
from the
the
Turvagon?
actual Tervagon.
Like there's nothing saying that, like I don't think that's an impossibility, right? It's just how do you like to rationalize
Sure,
and,
sure.
and do this?
That's a good point.
We gotta get Inquisitor equipment on.
Yeah. If
know
anyone
exactly.
knows.
It's Critman. He will get us all the information.
Yeah.
And then exterminatus us.
For being heretics.
Yes.
Clearly.
No way. Because defense of the Hive ship is paramount, their synapse is strengthened and allows them to also manifest psychic powers.
So it's another example of a particularly strong synapse who is then able to manifest psychic powers. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Zonothropes. Xylophones.
Xylophones.
Freaking silent.
Zoanthropes. Zoanthropes are used as psychic artillery. So large floating heads, atrophied bodies, boasting an immense brain capability of unleashing crippling psychic powers.
These are so cool.
So
Yeah,
it's said that they are a stock. They're pulled from warrior stock, and then they've just been slowly changed until they've been developed into what they currently
Take away
are.
all of the physical attributes and just amplify that synaptic.
Just pour it all into their cerebral
Yeah.
function. A bigger
Because the
brain.
model is essentially like a spinal cord that's
Yeah.
just floating and is
Basically.
attached to a brain with a mouth.
Yeah.
Like they've
Basically.
ripped all of the
They don't even
physical
have
attributes
eyes.
off.
Like, they're so,
No,
like,
they don't.
Yeah.
It's literally a floating brain.
Yeah. Yeah. That's basically
Cool.
what they are.
Multiple zonothropes are capable of combining their powers, which are then capable of destroying large targets, such as Imperial Titans.
And this it all goes back to this synapse. If you put enough together, does the synaptic connection grow, allowing them to feed more psychic energy? So everything, psychic powers have to do with synaptic strength, and your
Yeah.
ability to manifest them is all synapse, which is a given ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because of the massive energy stores surging through them, they're often suffering from the burning out effect in battle, where their craniums have been observed to burst and bleed out, sending them crashing limply to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, just head exploding. Typical
That's a
psychic
common
fashion.
problem
Yeah.
when dealing with warp.
Yep.
I think though this one is more like it says, it's more energy than like it's like a demon like manifesting you and exploding your brain that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It's more of a harnessing of a particular energy, and then that energy just overloads the physical
it's a battery.
More,
powers.
Yeah.
exactly. More so than just like the standard psych
Right.
your head explode.
Right.
Right. It's
Like,
like
the
too
tapping
powerful.
into the warp and like manifesting something versus
Yeah.
just energy.
Yeah. Especially with them chaining all together, and then it's just too
Yeah.
powerful for their
Brains.
big brains.
Big brains. All right. It is observed. It is rumored that these came around after the Tyranids battled Eldar and absorbed their DNA. Who knows if that's true?
Yeah, that's a pretty old throwback line.
Yeah, who knows?
From the Doom of
Neurothropes.
Malantai.
What's that?
The Doom of Malantai. Yeah. Yeah.
Sucked up a whole craft world.
Yeah.
Yeah, went on a rampage just by itself.
That one's
Floating
interesting.
brain just takes an entire ship.
Yeah.
That's
It's
hilarious.
interesting because it like specifically reads that it's like taking their psychic energy
just
and
leeches them.
yeah, and it says that it has something to do with like sucking their souls and stuff too.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets into what neurothropes do. So
Yeah.
the Doom of Malantai is supposed to be like the first neurothrope.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are further evolved versions of the standard zonothrope.
And that's the neurothrope specifically harnesses the people around it
Yeah.
and sucks in their energy.
Yeah, these alpha beasts are capable of leeching the very life essence of living creatures around them. This life essence can then be used to heal nearby zonothropes.
Right.
Probably one of the coolest models, I think. The zoanthropes and
It's
the
pretty
neanthropes.
iconic. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Classic like mid army. Yeah.
I'll show you
The,
the conversion that was controversial later.
Oh, okay. If you look at like first edition Tyranid zoanthropes,
Yeah.
they look way more like warriors did.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Right.
kind of probably where the line comes in that
Yeah.
they're built from the same stock.
Yeah,
Sure,
and you
yeah.
can definitely see. I think they've only had I guess 3 models if you include the Neurothrope. But yeah,
That's
they
true.
went from that Tyranid one to
the
kind of the big floating brain
Leviathan
one.
brain kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Malceptors.
Maleceptors are psychic war beasts, battering rams, and line breakers. So they stand larger and stronger than a Carnifex, and its body is encased in hard chitin to protect its enormous brain. And on this one, the body is essentially the brain. Like,
Exactly.
It's massive.
Yeah, this is the love child of a zoanthrope and a carnifex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
pretty much.
Tyranids made some sweet, sweet love.
Did some wacky shit.
Apparently, they are the purest embodiment of the Hive Mind's psychic power. So, not Hive Mind's will, but just like that raw psychic power. As it strives into battle, tendrils of psychic energy lash out from its brain and overload any enemy's consciousness that it comes close to, causing their head to explode naturally. And they're, particularly good against psychers because
They're just
interesting.
the amount of ability that they're able to manifest, like psychic power, is just so much greater than
It's funny.
anything
The way
else.
that it reads is almost like that it's amplifying that shadow in the warp just by being near psychers. So like maybe they can't even like tap in at all just because there's one of those near.
Yeah, the shadow. We're gonna get into the
Yeah,
shadow.
yeah.
it's a very
That's
misunderstood.
tangential, and it'll be
It'll be good. For some reason, the Hive Mind decided not to give this beast, the Maleceptor, any eyes, but instead it navigates via a combination of extrasensory psychic perception, which could mean that every single Tyranid creature around it feeds into its senses.
Yeah.
And by utilizing their powerful synaptic link to the Hive Mind to sense the subtle psychic impulses of near. Oh, all right.
Got it.
I didn't write these notes. This provides them with a wealth of information. So they are effectively, because of their synapse, they can connect more strongly with all the lesser creatures around it and build an image and everything it needs to know based on those.
Yeah.
So
big brain.
big brain. The biggest brain.
In fact, yeah.
Trigon primes. So we'll talk about Trigons first for a little bit. Trigons are large serpentine creatures that are capable of burrowing through the earth, creating a tunnel for smaller Tyranids to follow in behind them. Not all Trigons are synapse creatures. In fact, Trigon primes are quite rare amongst their species. Since they are long-range underground ambushers, Trigon primes have a biomorph that will grant them a synaptic link with the Hive Mind, allowing them to influence the lesser Tyranid creatures that follow in behind them.
It makes complete sense.
This
It's
is
the exact
cool.
same idea with shock assault troops and warriors, is that in order to exist far away from where every other synapse creature is happening, you have to be synaptic on your own.
Yeah.
Especially
Cool, though.
because these are used for specific things, so their instinct,
Yeah.
they can't just give themselves to their instinct. They have to be able to lie in wait,
Yeah.
or know exactly which targets to strike.
It's cool that it would have developed such a specific version of an already existing creature just because they were
Oh yeah, they definitely went too far one time and then
and it fucked up.
then
They're
they
okay,
ambushed too soon.
it needs synapse too then.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
that's very cool. It's that's the learning process of
Right.
a hive fleet. Throw this at it, not going to work. Let's upgrade it, make it better. We have the technology.
so our next episode we do on Tyranids is going to be non-synapse creatures. We're going to talk more about Trigons in that episode. We kind of glossed over them in this one because,
Nice.
that's just don't want to talk about it twice.
Fair enough. Very cool.
Yeah,
model.
well, we're going to run out of content if we do that, at some point. So then we will
Really,
have
you
to.
think that's a
So
possibility?
then we will have to talk about
You think we
this.
can read all 400 40K books
Yeah.
and
Talk
really?
about all of them.
wow.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say.
It'll
We're
just
gonna
become a book club.
Eventually it will have to be, yeah.
we're gonna do the Horse Heresy episode probably 4 or 5 times or something, and even then, 6 maybe. I don't know.
Well, they'll keep adding to it, so
Of
then we'll
course,
have to
yeah.
keep updating.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go over their psychic abilities real quick.
But that that's essentially all the synapse creatures
Yeah.
Yeah,
that we listed.
really
so.
aren't a lot, and half of them you don't really see on the battlefield anyway. Like the Hive Fleet, like the ship,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Norn
you
Queen,
would
the
never see
Dominatrix.
that.
That's really rare
Yeah.
to see them actually down planet side.
Yeah. So yeah, psychic abilities. While all Tyranids are psychers in nature, like they all have a psychic presence, they're all combining their psychic energy or their mind power into the hive mind. Only ones in direct contact with the hive mind have access to psychic powers.
Now, this comes through the synapse.
Yeah, so there is no non-synapse psychic warp blasting creature. So synapse is the very first power, and this, as we've said, it grants the ability to extend the hive mind to nearby creatures. Pretty straightforward. We just went over it all. So
Yeah.
but not all synapse creatures are capable of unleashing psychic abilities. So the very first one known, or a very common one, I guess, is Dominion, and it's a psychic power that channels and amplifies the synaptic will of the hive mind to bring a greater number of lesser Tyranid organisms under its control. So it just extends its range. Warp field.
It's an invisible psychic shield constantly protected around a Tyranid to protect it from enemy attacks. The field is usually invisible, except for a slight shimmer when it activates to absorb or deflect incoming fire.
Cool. Iain, Catalyst.
Catalyst is a psychic power projected to flood the systems of lesser Tyranid creatures under its command, pushing them with unnatural vitality to ignore the most grievous wounds. So this is like pushing them right through the lines, even if they're like all dying or something.
Yeah.
An abnormal behavior.
Right.
Onslaught, a psychic power that allows a Tyranid to seize control of the bioweapon symbiotes carried by its minions, guiding their fire whilst also relentlessly forcing the minions forward without being distracted by having to aim their weapons.
That one's pretty wild.
It is.
It sure
it's
is.
very cool,
It
but
is.
it's very Tyranid-esque.
Oh, yeah.
Just gives them automatic targeting systems.
Yeah, basically.
through psychic
Well,
power.
It effectively means that every lesser Tyranid is a biomorph
Of
of
the
the,
bigger-
synaptic creature that's wielding this power. It's
Sure,
like
yeah.
normally, like I'm going to wield my own appendage, but now I need to wield yours.
Yeah, so I'm just
Yeah.
going to
Right?
shoot it. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
kinda crazy.
Yeah.
More of a direct assumption of control.
It's like
Yeah.
a targeting array
That's
system.
micromanaging.
Super
at
cool.
its
Micro-
finest.
micromanaging. You build that slurper. You build it now.
Psychic Scream is a piercing shriek of psychic energy directed at the minds of the weak-willed, which distracts, scares, or even possibly drives insane all but the strongest foes. So it gives them a little taste of the hive mind.
Paroxysm.
That's yours, Marcus.
Yeah, is how you say it?
Paroxysm.
Yeah.
I think it's
Sure.
paroxysm.
Yeah.
Okay. Some Tyranids can trigger every nerve and pain receptor in a target's body, debilitating the victim and overwhelming their senses with pure agony.
Do you think they are
dark
also...
That one sounds
they
like it
would love that.
sucks.
What
but-
a way to go.
Do you think that that's a very similar, like, okay, so Onslaught, right? They're
Yeah.
controlling something of a lesser Tyranid. Do you
Right.
think paroxysm is very similar in that they're controlling the body of their victim?
I don't think it. No,
No.
it's
No.
different.
No. I think it's just by the very essence of it being near a creature or like one of these creatures that uses that power, it just
Maybe it's like firing all of their nerve
Nerve-
endings
yeah,
at the same
like,
time.
there's
or
like
something.
this-
That sounds like a control, though, to me.
No. Like firing more so through like electric shock.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, I was
or
thinking
warp
like
shock where.
a magnetic field that
yeah,
would just
there's
like
some sort of
yeah.
an element of this barrier thing that they
Yeah,
enter
more
into
so
and
than
they,
like tapping into their brain
Yeah.
and then accessing nerve ending 44.
It's just like entering into
But
this
it could be
execute
that too.
order.
I don't know.
Error 404. Yeah.
I think I like to put everything that the Tyranids do back into how the Tyranid functions itself.
Sure.
It's how I would imagine it.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
The horror.
That's Ian's.
The horror is a psychic aura that invades the minds of their enemies with a terrifying sentience so alien that all they can do is panic with fear. So maybe they can kind of
Override
control
their
or
minds.
not
This one is
control.
definitely a gift from the hive mind.
Yes.
Like, here's a little taste. Like, what's the other one that I said it was?
Psychic scream is very similar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Psychic Scream and Horror seem very similar.
Yeah. One uses energy.
That's the Psychic
So that's
Scream.
like and then I think the other one's like letting you into the hive mind where you hear like the chattering and the chitting
of billions.
yeah, and
billion
that's
life
what drives.
forms.
That's like holy fuck, as opposed to the other one. where
Guardsmen
you're
go
just
nuts.
overwhelmed with
Yeah.
energy
Yeah.
more so.
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah.
that would be the difference.
It would suck to be a Lasman, just like
A Lasman.
Yeah, sorry, holding
Captain
a las
Lasman.
holding a las can in a trench and just like, you know what I mean? A guardsman just like completely loses mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Wouldn't like that.
Nope.
Leech essence.
What did I say? Lasman?
Lasman.
Lasman.
That's okay. I was taking my nephew through some Christmas lights, like a little display in here, like a Confederation Park or whatever.
Nephew.
Right? Our nephew. That's
Our
right.
nephew, yes.
Yeah. And he was like, "Where's the fence door?" And we're like, "What?" The fence door, and he points it out. And it's like, "You mean a gate?"
Dumb little
And
shit.
then I was like, "I'm gonna start just doing that. Like, this is the sitting thing, the sitting box.
Good
no,
one.
that's a chair."
Where's the wall opening?
Yeah, exactly. The Lasman.
Lasman. All right, leech essence. Some Tyranids can feed upon the life force of their enemies and put it to a better use, regenerating their own flesh.
You don't
It
need
is
that.
a better use.
I do.
Yeah. I'll take this and this and this. Warp Blast, a powerful psychic attack focusing the energy of the Hive Mind until it arcs out as a blast of pure warp energy.
That's the Zone Thrope special.
Yeah.
Or Smite, as we like to call it.
Smite. Smite.
Warp Lance, a psychic attack consisting of the Hive Mind's energy channeled into a focused stream of warp energy through or with enough power to punch a hole through a fortress wall or vaporize a battle tank.
That's a lot of concentrated energy.
It is, yeah.
And the final kind of more known one is the Shadow and Warp. We're going to talk about that a bit later.
Right.
There are going to be many different psychic powers that the Tyranids manifest, and different fleets will even develop their own. Like,
yeah, of course.
This is just the most common ones.
These are probably the ones that the Imperium has encountered and came up with
Yeah.
like terminology for,
Yeah,
but I'm sure they
exactly.
can do whatever the hell they want
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
this Synapse and
That's the
psychic.
thing. Like, yeah, all this is Imperium like based. So
Knowledge,
like, how do
yeah.
they even know what the horror is? Like,
Maybe just
How do they
watching-
quantify that?
how do they
How do they
quanti-
differentiate it between that and the psychic scream,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
but somehow they have.
well, it
so.
means enough people have died to it.
Yeah,
That's what
sure.
it is.
Enough
Yeah.
people like run through the trenches saying certain things or yelling, and they're like, "Oh, there's something going on. Like,
Yeah.
what's happening with old Joe over there? He looks like he's wigging out."
Keep
Oh,
throwing,
Last Man Joe over there.
keep throwing
Last
more guys
man
out
Joe.
it until we understand what
Exactly.
The guy
it is.
next to you randomly
doctrine of battle, right?
explodes.
Like, it makes sense.
Yeah. So they can come up with their own all the time, constantly evolving. So let's talk about the Shadow and the Warp, because this is, while it's a power, it's more of a byproduct.
Yes, that is a question. Is it intentional? Is it not? You know, the Shadow and the Warp. So the Tyranids are known to create a psychic bubble that distorts the warp for light years around their fleet. So
Crazy.
it also causes terror in the minds of non-psychers, as they say they can feel something scratching in their head. There's like a general malaise that like falls over anyone in it, depression, a feeling of fear or
Like
powerlessness.
impending doom coming.
Yeah. This destabilizes worlds even further, causing panic and chaos before the Tyranid fleet even arrives.
Yeah, because it's a light years wide
Yeah.
effect.
It's a
Range.
massive
That's
bubble.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And that would, anywhere within that bubble, that's where the Hive Mind exists.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Sure,
pretty
sure.
much.
So it could be like years before they invade some place, but people start like losing it.
It definitely
Yeah.
would be. Like,
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like Tyranids, they don't move very fast. Like
Right.
they don't give you a speed, but
Yeah.
they're not moving the speed
Yeah.
of light.
And they're not moving nearly as fast as Imperial.
It's like a slow
birds.
kind of grip of the galaxy that we're seeing, like just this slow crushing. It's kind of crazy.
I don't like it. The horror.
the horror.
It also causes terror. And I think we read that one.
Yeah, I read
Any
that.
psychers within this bubble find it incredibly difficult and dangerous to access the warp. This halts most things from astropathic messages to forcing spacecraft already in the warp to veer off course.
So humanity, who relies solely on the use of psychic messaging,
Right.
this screws them over
They get
hard.
cut off.
Yeah.
They have no ability to send messages like across planets and the stars other than use of astropaths.
Yeah. Psychers have to constantly resist the chittering, scratching, screeching sounds gnawing on their mind. And this is why it's harder for them to access the warp. We'll get deep into it later, but it's this overwhelming sound of just
Information. Yeah.
We should all do
Clicks
that
and
together.
clacks.
We're not doing that. It sounds disgusting.
Are you hungover, Eric?
I am over.
Any attempt to contact the Hive Mind through psychic means ends horribly. Most are overwhelmed by the sheer power of the Hive Mind, but those that do survive claim that the hive mind is alien to comprehend.
Plot armor.
It's impossible to understand.
It's ridiculous. The people that have contacted the hive mind and survived.
Yeah.
I think that's personally,
Bullcrap.
it's too much.
Survived intact.
Tigurius.
Yeah, that
That's
one's
ridiculous.
a dumb one.
If,
But, like,
if you do
to-
survive, sure, but you're
you
a
should be-
vegetable.
Yeah, you're
should
like
be
done.
You lose all it
You're
should
all
burn your
function.
brain out
Yeah,
immediately.
I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
It
so
should.
Personally, I think that's a little dumb.
Yeah, no, the whole.
Don't at me. Don't at me. That's ridiculous that he survived. that he's able to
tap in multiple
yeah,
times even.
whatever.
I think
Bullshit.
Once you're tapped.
Come
you're-
on, it's probably
Kill him.
one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever come across in this.
Really?
I do. I truly think so. So alien, incomprehensible.
Yeah, you can tap into it.
Created by the chittering of millions and billions of other creatures. But no.
It's
I can
cool.
do it.
Yeah,
Right, because it specifically makes no sense if
Yeah.
their psychic is based off of Synapse, which
Yeah.
is not even related to the warp. Why would he be able to just
It's
Yeah.
so
join in, listen in on their combo?
Yeah. They're not even using your same landline, dude. Like,
I'll
what's
just
wrong
change the frequency on my radio. And
yeah. Just tune my psychic hood a little different.
Right.
yeah.
No.
with you? That's fair.
So that's a pretty good understanding of everything. There's a lot of misconceptions and stuff about all this stuff and how it all works, and a lot of it also is intentionally not stated or just hasn't been stated. We don't know a lot of it, but there are
Intentionally mysterious.
there are some very common things, and the first one we're going to talk about is what is the hive mind. Lots of people think that the hive mind, well, maybe not lots of people, some people
Enough
people
people.
think that the hive mind is a specific creature that we have yet to see.
Right.
Like there's, instead of a Norn Queen, there's a
The hive mind
some
beast.
the hive
Yeah.
king that controls it all.
Right.
That's not true.
No,
That is not the
No.
case at all.
Yeah, I used to think that with the Norn Queen, thinking way back in the early days.
So did the Imperium,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's the collective consciousness of every Tyranid. The other weird thing, and we definitely talked about this earlier, is while there is only one hive mind, there are multiple hive minds.
Yeah, this is the
That
weird
doesn't
part.
make sense.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
different iterations of
the
itself.
same.
Right.
Yeah.
But as soon as the different hive minds come into contact with
They're
each other,
still the
it's
same hive
same
mind.
hive
Yeah,
mind.
it's and again alien, right? Too
Yeah.
hard to comprehend that.
Yeah.
For sure. Because it seems like the one, like you're having different personalities in a sense, or like different hive mind beings, if that's even a thing. But yet, that's not what it is.
Yeah, no,
right?
it's
Yeah, it's
they all work together. When
exactly.
Yeah,
One
when
common
they're-
goal, will, power, but
Yeah.
yet they seem to manifest themselves separately in a sense when you see like different
Until they
hybrids.
meet up again.
Until they meet
Yeah.
up again. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
a very
So-
interesting.
And that's another thing too. So the hive mind is very, very much
alien.
alien,
But
hard to
it's
comprehend.
a single being,
yeah.
Yeah.
and it will never do anything to harm another aspect of itself.
Yeah, exactly. Which brings us to
The Hydra effect.
So I know I was guilty of this when 8th edition came out and they were releasing teasers for all the different hive fleets and their special rules. Games Workshop on their community page. I forget the exact wording. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it. They were talking about Hive Fleet Hydra and how it was attacking.
Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
Hail Hydra.
Of course.
Hail
Yeah.
Let's
Get that
how,
one out of your system, man.
Just wait.
Of how the Hive Fleet Hydra.
Yeah.
was
Oh, let's Hail
specifically-
Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Jeez.
How Hive Fleet Hydra
Hail Hydra. Hail Hydra.
was specifically attacking other fleets.
Attacking is the key word.
Attacking
Yeah.
is the key word.
Yeah.
And I was coming out right away and saying that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like the hive mind
Yeah,
is
yeah,
one
yeah.
hive mind.
I remember talking with you about that a little bit a
Yeah.
while ago. Yeah.
But when you read, because this happened on the Games Workshop community page,
Yeah.
it was
It's like a 2-sentence blurb.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and everyone's like, "What?"
But when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go to the
Read.
actual codex,
Right.
that was released probably a year later,
Yeah.
it is a very different
It is
understanding.
And you
Yeah.
know what? Hydra is not. Sorry, Hail Hydra.
Oh,
It's not new at all either. We are going all the way back to 3rd edition.
Right.
That's when we can
And-
find our
right.
first thing.
And
Yeah.
that's we're
Oh,
actually
really?
reading
Yeah.
about Hydra.
It's in
Hail
there.
Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Well, there you go.
We're reading about it way back then.
Yeah.
So this is not new.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
it's a
just
further
been-
explained.
yeah.
Sure.
And so the idea was that Hail Hydra was attacking all other fleets, and it's not at all. What
No.
it is doing is collecting the useless scraps that other fleets have abandoned or lost, or this Hive fleet.
Janitor of the galaxy.
It is the janitor,
custodian.
and that's the very important thing. Is that so? We talked about the smallest a Hive fleet could exist at is one Norn Queen. If you don't have a Norn Queen, you are useless now. And this is what Hive Fleet Hail Hydra is actually doing. Is they're cleaning up all the things that are useless to the Hive Fleet, because the Hive Mind is still going to exist where all these fleets are. Because the Hive Mind is nothing other than the collection of Tyranids. So the Hive Mind knows what's going on. Right? And then this thing is specifically, so it's sending out a beacon, because when the Norn Queen dies, there's a psychic blast.
And this is called the Hydra effect.
Yes, this is the Hydra effect. So it just ties right. Hail Hydra. Hail Hydra. Anytime a Norn Queen dies, it emits a psychic blast that sends a signal out, specifically, I'm assuming, to Hive Fleet Hydra. Hail Hydra. And then that fleet is then like, all right, guess we got another...
That's their specific
mission.
Like
let's go collect, right? They're even known to follow other fleets, and so other fleets they lose battles, and they just like, oh, this is a burnt out Hive ship floating through the space. We're gonna go consume it because it's not doing anything.
Reclamation fleet.
Exactly. And so people need to understand for space. That they work for the Hive Mind, and they are in no case whatsoever are they attacking maliciously other Tyrants.
Like they're not trying to consume a swarm lord purposely.
Good lord, no.
Trying to take the Norn.
The Hive Mind will never act against itself.
Exactly. So I'm glad they definitely clarified that. Because to me that was one of the biggest piss offs about 8th edition lore when they came up with that.
For sure it was.
So you can
number 2 to Primaris.
Well, I would say
it was a pretty big deal.
It changed everything 100%. About the Tyranids.
Well, because now what is it? You got your own consciousness now outside of the Hive Mind. It's fighting it like that. It totally goes against the whole
it changed it
thing.
fundamentally.
Totally, totally.
So,
but not to worry, that is not the case.
Yeah,
exactly.
We can all breathe. Fellow Nick players can all breathe a relief of side.
But it's cool because it also plays into that whole. It could be reclaiming those information databases of experiences that they, it's just picking up all the little pieces.
Yeah, because those would be the experience you would want.
You need to know how
did you lose,
how you lost.
Analyze all the data, all the things that went wrong.
The more you read about this specific fleet and the effect of it, it makes so much sense.
Yeah. I'm glad that they made that happen.
Yeah.
Because for sure, a little bit there, I was like, that
makes
no sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the game break, you just broke the game kind of thing.
You ruined Tyranid.
Exactly. Yeah.
Smash Tyranid.
Yeah, but the Hydra effect, Hail Hydra, and Hive Fleet Hydra, Hail Hydra, is a very misconceived thing in Tyranids, and you need to... If you're reeing right now at us because you're like, they're so wrong, go do your own goddamn research, because we read through 4 codexes to
figure this out.
Every single thing that was related to this Hive Fleet and to this effect, we found.
And if your friends are complaining, refer them to episode 61 of Warhammer.
Spread it out into the galaxy.
So the only time Tyranids would attack each other is if there is no Hive Mind and no Synapse creatures, and there's a Termagant and a Hormagant left on a planet, completely abandoned completely. Eventually they will get hungry, they will attack each other.
If it's already a dead world because they've consumed everything else.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, is the instinct overrides its behavior. It's not doing this out of a willful I'm attacking you. It's I need to feed.
Exactly.
So it feeds on itself in that
and that is
sense.
a last kind of ditch
exactly.
effort. There's literally nothing else to eat.
Tyranids have no problem with cannibalism.
Yeah, it would be probably just as likely to start eating its own arm off than it would to attack the thing beside it.
If it gets hungry and it's in a cave by itself.
This biomorph is taking too much energy, so I'm going to get rid of it.
Right.
So
that's the only time.
There's a way around that.
Oh,
the brood mind.
What about it?
Well,
the brood mind operates outside of the Hive Mind, and gene stealers will go into hibernation and they'll work together outside of the Hive Mind. I'm just this doesn't affect rippers or whatever at all. It's specifically to gene stealers. But even when there's no Hive Mind, and there's just themselves, they still work together. So this is the Hive Mind's way around not being
everywhere all the time.
Is the brood mind.
So that cleared that up. Got that. Okay, next big thing. Tyranids and how they relate to warp. Are they actually drawing warp energy?
Right.
Or is it the hive mind that they're drawing energy from?
Yeah, that's the big question. I've always thought.
So we already stated it's only Synapse.
Yeah.
Synapse is the only way for them to manifest warp energies.
The way I kind of see it happening is, so yes, they are using warp energy, but it says multiple times that they're getting it or using it through the hive mind, which implies like the hive mind is maybe some type of buffer. Think like a Space Marine psychic hood. So it protects them so they can still draw energies from it, but it protects them.
Like a filter.
Yeah,
Some sort of
exactly.
filter on that like helps them tap into it.
And this would help in like keeping them from getting possessed, because there's no way a demon is going to be able to possess the hive mind.
Right.
So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
This begs the question:
it begs it.
if the hive mind, if there's a single lone hive tyrant and the hive mind is not around,
Yeah.
right? Can this hive tyrant still manifest psychic powers? There is no hive mind for it to synapse with.
I would say no.
Can it manifest?
Like a synaptic creature won't be synaptic if it's outside of the range of like the rest of it, right? Unless it's like infinitely.
So, because this has to do with the
possible.
hive mind, and the hive mind exists in a bubble around fleets, right?
Yeah.
So, because it's only through thousands of whatever of Tyranids that the hive mind can manifest, right?
Yeah.
So, if this tyrant is by itself, you say no, it cannot
So like
tap into the warp.
So we're saying, like, let's say the fleet moves on for whatever reason, a hive tyrant's on a moon by itself outside of the synapse range, right?
Yeah,
Right. It
of the hive mind.
right. Of the
Probably
hive mind.
wouldn't happen, but
Could it
might.
could it manifest?
Yeah.
Psychic
Can it tap
properties,
into
or
the
could
warp?
It not?
I don't think it could. Because like
I
Understand
wonder-
that every single Tyranid is a psychic creature.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I wonder if it could.
a psychic creature or a synaptic.
They are all
being?
psychic creatures.
They'll have psychic ability.
They all have psychic ability. The chattering is what manifests
Yeah.
the hive mind, right?
Right.
So, so we had the
So they're
example before.
speaking to each other psychically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
7 million rippers. This is just an arbitrary number that we
yeah.
get.
Yeah, yeah,
They will manifest the hive mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that does not mean the hive mind is communicating to any of them, because there is no synapse between the hive mind
right.
and those rippers.
Right.
So even though the hive mind is manifested, which would mean the shadow of the warp is there, right?
Yep.
And the hive minds will exist.
Nobody's there to link
Nobody's there to talk
Yeah.
to
They're all
each other.
just
So these rippers are still
lacking.
just instinctual beasts. So
it. Right.
every single creature is psychic. Can the hive tyrant access the warp without the hive mind?
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah.
It's just dangerous.
I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
So
This is
From
kind
my-
of where our buffer
Right.
thought came.
Right, right,
into.
exactly. Most of the Tyranids that can access the warp, hive tyrants,
Yeah.
zonothropes,
Maliceptors.
Maliceptors, like the ones that can actually use psychic powers and not just synapse,
Yeah.
are incredibly intelligent.
Yeah.
Very large brain functions.
Yeah.
Very large brain function. So I think they would just not do it. They could access the warp,
Yeah.
but they're aware of the danger of doing it.
I was gonna say that's something that I wonder, is that because it's away from the hive mind, it doesn't. There's like an instinct of self-preservation, so it wouldn't necessarily call upon the powers because
Yeah.
something could go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
And knowing that it chooses not to, unless who knows, maybe you could bring it to that state to try it, and I don't know, maybe that's where.
I wonder
that's
if
a
it
good
has
question.
that sense of
Somewhat.
danger.
Hive
Like
tyrants
hive tyrants.
100%
Yeah.
do.
They have a
Do
set- I think so.
Maliceptors?
Probably
I
not.
don't think so.
No, probably
So
not.
Maliceptors, while they are synapse creatures,
Yeah.
if there is nothing to synapse with,
Yeah.
they still revert to
their-
basic
yeah,
instinct.
so they would
and
probably
their
just blow
instinct
up.
is
Yeah.
to use psychic powers.
Yeah.
So they probably just like blow up or melt or something.
Yeah,
because they can't
absolutely.
deal
There's
with
no
it.
longer a buffer,
Yeah.
but they're still using it. And so then the question is, can you only access psychic powers through synapse, right? And so personally, I like to think that only through synapse are you able to manifest psychic powers. I don't think you can. I do not think a hive tyrant is able
To
to
do without the
manifest
hive-
psychic
hive
powers
mind. Right.
without the hive mind.
Yeah,
Why
I'm kind of
though?
in that camp.
It's the
as well.
synapse. The synapse is
Sure.
the only thing that allows you to manifest. There's a difference between
There,
screaming
there
into
might
the
there
warp.
might even be like a built-in biomorph that specifically
Very
says
true.
that. So
Yeah.
like-
because maybe
turns
at
it
one
off or
point,
whatever.
like
Yeah.
day one, they tapped in a Tyranid got possessed,
Yeah.
and then they learned, and then they
they
built
said no,
this little
no more.
tiny.
Yeah, like a fail safe, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
actually
could
a
get
good
behind
point.
that for sure.
Could
Yeah.
you?
What?
That's how you rid the galaxy of chaos.
What?
You implant that little block in every single person.
But if you think about it,
Biomorph,
the hive
yeah.
fleet is basically the like the hive mind, sorry, like the very essence of Tyranids in the galaxy
Yeah.
is like the impending doom of everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone and everything.
Well,
right?
other than
It's
Necron.
like well, sure. I mean,
And the Tau.
Sure.
The Tau.
But if you,
Of course.
yeah.
Of course.
Can't forget that.
In my mind, and from a Nid's point of view, like a player and like a lover of the lore of Nids, I think that they are the end all of the galaxy because they get rid of all of the organisms that manifest the like warp. And if you don't have any organisms left, if everything's
But
rocked,
they do it themselves.
Right.
They like
True.
feed.
That is very good. So, by essence, they still them being around the warp still.
Like
yeah,
hunger.
that's a good point.
That's a
That's
very
good point.
Nurgle thing.
Yeah, that's a good
the,
point.
The insatiable need to
Maybe
feed
the
and
end,
die. And
the end
grow.
of all will be just chaos and Nids floating, trying to.
Oh
figure
please!
themselves out.
Spoken like a true Nid player.
Yeah.
Yeah. And since I'm doing an orc army, I'm going to say orcs are
Yeah.
actually the end all be
And
all.
since I play
once
Necron,
all of them
So
combine,
all that will be left will be Nids, orcs, and the warp fighting.
Yeah,
That's
the
it.
Necrons.
And
Necron.
unending war.
Necrons don't want to subjugate Nids, and Nids don't want to eat the Necrons.
exactly. Yeah.
They don't give a
So
fuck about each
the
other.
Imperium
Four-way
is
stalemate is
eternal,
what we're
boys?
talking about then. Just an eternal
Imperium
war.
is
Honestly,
eternal.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it to
As long as all the Imperium dies,
As
that's
long
the
as
only
the
thing that
Imperium's
matters.
gone, it'll just be like the Chaos Gods.
That is what it is.
It's like
the Necron.
No Eldar, no Imperium.
Yeah.
that's pretty.
Just
Yeah,
the
that's what we're
Necron.
getting at.
The Nids.
So,
yeah.
do you think Tyranids can manifest psychic powers outside of the hive mind, John?
Well, now that we've chatted through this and I see Mark's point of view, and I've wrestled with what you just said, I
wrestled with it.
Yeah.
Many a night.
I think I actually think you're right, Eric. I think without the hive mind to be able to produce it, I don't know if they would tap into the psychic.
Ian.
It's good. It's good.
We got 2 for no so far and 1 for yes.
Yeah, I don't really.
Split the vote, Ian.
I don't really think so either. Sorry, I just.
Yeah.
There's no.
It's
nothing
so,
says either or.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Of course.
So I'm going to say, unless there's like a built-in fail-safe,
Right.
Which
I
they
don't
very
see-
well could be.
and there
Right,
probably
totally
is.
is, yeah.
Because once the Hive fleet makes that mistake once, they're going to correct it.
Yeah.
So the chances of them making that mistake once, they're going to correct it.
Yeah.
You want to know what's interesting? Hive minds could develop the same. Like this correction, like let's say 2 hive fleets encounter a very similar thing separately.
Yeah.
It's very possible that they even come to the same conclusion.
Yeah, sure.
because it's all spawning from the same
Exactly.
So they
experiences
think very
previously.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they can think very similarly.
It's interesting.
Sorry, I just had that weird brain fart.
No,
Yeah. So I'm going to say no, ultimately.
Yeah.
Like, probably not.
Yeah.
But
I'd like
I-
to think that. I'd like to
Yeah.
think that they could just like be on a lonely moon and start doing cool
Right.
psychic stuff. But
Yeah. There has to be some built-in fail.
I think so, yeah.
Like, there has to be. Otherwise, there's
Like,
no reason they wouldn't
Exactly. Yeah.
Another interesting relationship between Tyranids and the Warp is you never see demonic possession
be able to.
of Tyranids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it also that could speak to like your failsafe. Like humans have a way of guarding themselves against demonic possession.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can recite runes and guard yourself with psychic power and have your mind like a steel will, right? And if you were able to genetically create that and place it inside of every Tyranid that you create and you grow,
Right.
it very well could be your failsafe that you're talking about, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so that's that question. The next one, next misunderstanding is the shadow and the warp. People often like associate it with like a blank effect where you can't access the warp.
Right. But that's not
it's not.
necessarily
No, you
true.
can still access
exactly.
it.
It's just gonna suck.
Yeah.
horrible because there's a bunch of
Just scribblers.
Yeah, exactly.
screeching
There's a bunch of
Tyranids
gribblies everywhere.
just
I
talking.
imagine is like if we had chalkboards around the whole room, and as you're trying to talk to Eric, I'm just
screeching.
screeching all the time, and you guys are
Exactly.
like, "Ugh!"
I might
right?
be able to overpower
sure,
that screeching.
but it's still there.
but
It's
it's
gonna
still-
drive you nuts at the end of it. I'm
Exactly.
sure. Yeah.
So that's a very another common misconception.
Yeah.
You can still definitely do it. It's
gonna suck.
And that's another thing, like you were mentioning, like, is it intentional or not? Because I know that Hive Fleet Leviathan has, like, the pincer maneuver that they implement so that the shadow and the warp will reach a planet in a certain way. Like, they're at least cognitive of it.
They are aware of its
They
ability.
know that they do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that they can turn on or off.
So-
or if it's
I don't
just
think they
them
could.
existing.
Yeah.
I don't
that
think they
it
can turn it
happens.
on or off, but they could strengthen or lessen it depending on the amount of creatures that
Yeah,
they
just
employ.
imagine
How
They
loud
just
they
put-
into the warp.
Yeah.
They just spawn a bunch of rippers, and like each one is
Clicking.
Yeah, very small like amount of energy and resources consumed in order to create one, but it adds to the shadow and the warp.
Yeah.
It adds another voice to the cacophony that is the Tyranids.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting.
So that's another misconception.
it's definitely it's definitely not. Oh fuck! What am I trying to say? No, it is not a blank effect at all.
Exactly.
right.
It is
Exactly.
it's just one more voice.
In present voices. Yeah.
It's
It's
a
a
bunch of
presence.
presences.
Yeah.
And that leads us to our final question that we thought of: is do blanks affect Tyranids?
Oh, okay. I got one more after this.
Oh, okay.
Just pulling
and
them out.
yes, blanks do affect
Yeah.
Tyranids.
Of
Like
course, yeah.
they are relying on warp energy.
Yeah.
We've already clarified
established that, yeah.
Like
So,
a blank will
but
affect it.
pariahs are
Yeah.
the stronger version of blanks.
I forget which
Yeah.
one's
Yes.
which.
Yes.
Yeah.
The blank is
Yes.
like the shield.
Yeah.
The pariah is the bubble.
Yeah.
Nullification
It's
thing.
a
Yeah.
nothingness right inside
Yeah.
the
Inquisitors use
Right.
blanks as like shields.
Okay. Sure.
But the pariah, yes, they will cut out the shadow and the warp.
I think
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that it would definitely would affect.
Yeah.
It affects because they're
And-
psychic beings.
Exactly.
So,
and it would affect like synapse ability.
course, yeah.
It would affect
Yeah.
all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
it will
True.
cut off your connection to the hive
Yeah.
mind. And
Yeah.
if you get enough blanks, it will even cause the
I'm
hive
telling
mind
ya,
to not
one
or pariahs.
blank
Pariahs.
every
Pariahs.
one pariah every square light year.
And you're good
That
to go.
is not
In the
nearly
galaxy.
big enough.
Every
sorry,
square foot.
Yeah. And there's also different levels of pariah
Yeah.
strength, right? Like some pariahs are able to even cancel out the emperor's ability to manifest his psychic powers. Like there's an example of a pariah walking
Right.
next to the emperor and seeing him for what he truly is.
Oh.
It's one of the thoughts of why the sisters are actually silent.
Yeah.
It's because they see him for what he truly is.
Oh,
Anyways,
I
that's
did
just
not know
that's
that.
a throwaway
Interesting.
line.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it
yeah.
is the fact that like if your shadow in the warp and your hive mind presence has manifested strong enough, it will override the pariah's ability to knock you out. Right? So it's just a contending war. What's stronger, your pariah gene and your ability to cut everything out, or is the hive mind stronger and able to override your pariah? So there is that war
If only
that is
there was a
constantly
way to
going.
like harness that for the Imperium to like
Right.
to like block out the shadow in the warp, but
Right.
still be able to harness. But
Yeah.
I don't think they kind of go hand in
Sounds
hand.
like that's kind of
Yeah.
heresy.
well,
Hey,
yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is, man. You got to look at it.
Mark, any thoughts on blanks and pariahs affecting?
No.
Okay, so the last one,
No.
or at least my last one is the hive mind a psychic being in and of itself?
Like, is it like a warp
Does it
being?
exist in the warp, or does it exist in reality?
It's a chaos god.
That's some people do.
The fifth chaos god.
Yeah, well, maybe not chaos, but a warp god, an Empyrean being. Right?
Right.
Does it exist in reality, or does it exist in the warp?
I was reading somewhere. Doesn't the emperor create it at some point, or
No.
If he did, that would be very
I'm
old.
just fucking. I'm just
No.
just
no.
causing people to
it's-
go into aneurysms.
It's a
listening.
real space thing. It's not a warp being.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was a warp being, you would then get like hive mind signals pretty much everywhere in the galaxy. Through any warp rift, you'd be able to get hive mind signals. Like,
True.
if it's a warp being,
I wonder if it's both.
it's not. I'm
wonder.
telling ya.
I wonder if it's both. And it chooses to be shadowy and just like lurks rather than is present center. It's like one and the same, existing in both planes of existence. But
So you
yet
said if it's a
lurks.
warp being, it would exist everywhere.
Everywhere.
Chaos doesn't exist everywhere.
But chaos can manifest itself through any
Only through the help of the materium.
Anywhere, though.
Could be only when you have an Imperium, proper ritual,
Sure.
sacrifices. Demons can't manifest for no reason.
But
it
no,
takes
anytime
energy
there's
and
any
sources.
like the whole Siccadictrus Maledictum, you'd be able to feel like the Tyranid presence throughout all of that. There's no experience, or
You
there's
can't
no.
always feel chaos every time you're in the warp.
Okay.
No, not chaos every time you're in the warp. Sometimes your warp travel, while still warpish, doesn't necessarily mean you're being assaulted by chaos every time you step into the warp. Right? Those are two different things. Chaos and the warp, their energies manifest separately.
That's why
You
I'm
don't
saying,
necessarily experience
Yeah.
them both at the same time.
That's why I'm saying that it's possible this creature exists in both planes. We just don't know what the frick it is. It just lurks. It is. And the only way to ever see it is when it actually it's like manifested its presence in the material, like in the material plane. I don't know.
It kind of doesn't make sense for it to be a warp being. Like maybe the hive mind has like adapted its access to the warp, because it's just deemed it as like a
Do you
necessity.
think more just it's a biological thing? There is no
It would be helpful if we could access this.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But they don't like reside or
No?
like.
No, I really
say
don't.
no?
I really don't see it as a warp being.
I'm not sure where I land on that.
How dare you?
If
How dare
the
you.
warp doesn't exist, the hive mind doesn't exist
Yeah.
because there's no such
Right.
thing as psychic
They're
ability.
linked.
Sure.
So this is the only
Yeah.
reason why I'm not sure it's not a warp being.
But it's not like the Tyranids.
The Tyranids
went-
could exist
yeah.
without the
Of
hive
course
mind.
they
would
could.
just be horrible and
But
very ineffective.
all I'm saying is that
right?
the hive mind would not exist without psychic. Like, imagine there's no psychic
yeah.
thing in the galaxy, right?
Yeah, if
there
a
would be
pariah
no
removes
hive
the
mind.
hive mind, then like if there was no warp, there would be
Yeah.
no hive mind either.
If the Necron were successful in their ability of cutting off the entire Milky Way galaxy from the warp, and no one could use psychic powers anymore, then all of their psychic chittering doesn't exist. And if that doesn't exist, there is no hive mind.
So here's where I draw the line.
They would just leave.
Just leave. Peace them out.
They probably would,
They'd-
but or wouldn't they just be slave to their instincts at that point? And their only
Oh,
instinct
maybe.
is feed,
Yeah,
right? So
maybe.
I don't know it.
Here's where I draw the line. When
Peter
people
out.
start calling it like the fifth chaos god, sure, it might have a psychic or a warp presence, a presence in the warp,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the same. It by nowhere near as like Korn, Nurgle, any of those.
It could never manifest like that.
It's not creating demons that now we have
Right.
Tyranid.
Right,
It's
right,
a
right.
very different.
No.
thing.
I'm with you. I
Yeah.
understand. I respect that line. However, what I'm saying is it's possible. It's existent in that in that part of the
Yeah,
Tyrium.
sure. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm
we just don't
perfectly
know
okay.
what the frick it is. That's why everyone's
Yeah.
like, it's so alien,
In
Just
an
as-
immaterium sense,
right?
yeah, it would be because it's present in the warp, but not physically
Right.
capable of manifesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I see it as like this tentacle that is basically grabbing both worlds in a sense, right? It's
Yeah.
It's leeching into both,
It's kind
and
of there,
taking
in
it
both.
over, but it's obviously not as powerful as the Chaos God itself.
It's a
just-
different thing, though.
Yeah.
It's a different
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, don't compare
completely.
power levels.
No. I'm not.
No,
That's
no,
what
like,
I'm saying.
yeah.
It's like this weird shadow thing that just kind
Well,
of
like yeah,
exists.
like every psyker has a presence in
Yeah.
the warp.
Yeah,
Every person
I
has a
actually
presence
agree
in the
that
warp.
I think it's both.
I think it's both, man.
Because
Sure,
if
I
you
do.
say the
I-
the Necron are a material world
Yeah.
only, right? They can only
They have
manipulate.
no presence in the warp.
Yeah.
Right, and then something like Chaos is like exclusively in the warp and can only join the Materium world through like very specific ways.
And for a very limited amount of time,
Right.
they cannot exist forever.
How come the
in their
Tyranid
essence.
can't be present in both, right?
No, I'm okay with them being present. That's fine.
Yeah.
Claiming it as a chaos god, first
That's
of all,
why-
fuck
I
no.
think
first of
no.
all, is
I don't think
ridiculous.
that's I
Not
brought
even
it up
close.
as
Yeah.
a joke. I
But other
don't
people
actually,
do. Other
of
people
course.
do all the
They
time.
think they did. I don't think so. I think it's more of just this alien being that has the capacity to enter both, and it's at the end of the day. Again, spoken as a Tyranid lover, it's gonna be there at the end of all things.
Represent.
It's gonna be at the there at the end
Hail
of all
Hydra.
things,
Hail Hydra.
and it's
Right.
It's just gonna be that thing that kind of exists, and
So-
they can't really get rid of it. It's just there. It's just
Yeah.
part of the party. People don't want it. It still lurks. It's still there. The Chaos Gods won't be able to get rid of it. They'll just probably just be like, oh, okay, whatever. Like it is what
Right.
it is. It's just like this weird
Yeah.
thing that just exists there, and it'll always be there. You can't get rid of it.
It's definitely not chaos.
No.
It's not part of the pantheon.
No, I
But
agree with Mark.
A
there.
warp
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Tyranids is they've described them so different from our understanding of chaos and warp
Right.
powers and beings that it's almost a third category.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
perfectly
There's
fine.
Yeah.
like you guys, everyone knows how cheesecloth works.
Oh,
Yes.
of course.
So the warp, and we do know that alternate dimensions do exist. Like the Necron literally create pocket dimensions all the time, and they can exist outside of the warp and our material one. So the way I kind of picture the hive mind is like it's a piece of paper that when it's flipped on like its edge and you're staring at the edge, you can't really see it,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't exist, but it's a barrier between the two alternate realities of the Materium versus the Empyrean.
And so the Tyranid
Right.
are just touching both.
Yeah.
I do think that they exist as psychic creatures and as reality things. So you said that the like Tyranid demons, effectively this hive mind, I'm saying, like, I could see this, right? Your face.
He's just ready to kill you, Eric.
No, but
draw knives later.
So the hive mind is the gestalt. It's the consciousness.
Yeah.
And this consciousness is responsible for creating things advantageous for its purposes. If that's not a demon, and it has control over it, if that's not, like, it's not a chaos or a warp
it's
demon,
not like,
but they do seem to exist in both realities, and it functions very similar to how a chaos god, like,
No, it has not. No.
how a chaos god splits itself off and puts its will inside another thing. How is that not? How do you
an
not see any
entirely
similarities?
different
very interesting
thing.
thought, Eric. That is
How do you
very
not see any
interesting thought.
similarities?
Because one is based on reality, and one is based
But it's
completely
not.
in the warp.
No, but it's not based on reality.
So
because
here's the
without
thing.
the
Here's
hive
the thing.
mind, there is
Tyranids
nothing.
would have existed before the hive mind. There had to have been one Tyranid that existed first, then there's two, and
It
then
would have
there's
had
three.
to evolve from nothing.
Exactly.
Unless
No,
it
enough
was
of this
unless it was
conversation. You're
purposefully
full of
made.
shit. They're not warp. It's not a chaos god.
No,
it does not have the ability.
It's
to make
definitely not a
demons.
chaos god.
There's no demons. Tyranids are not demons. Fuck that. That's retarded. They're just talking for the sake of talking.
No, I just like.
There's no-
I don't think they're demons either.
Then what are you talking about?
Because, but I am saying that they're the
Just
ability.
drawing
Eric,
parallel
Eric and I are
for
trying to
fun.
figure out a being in the warp that what we understand of the warp.
It's neither.
Here's the thing. Like
Yeah.
And both.
orcs
Yeah,
also
yeah.
have a different way
Yes.
that they relate to the orcs.
Yes,
Like,
very different.
Yeah.
But orcs were also created with intent, and that, like,
For all we know, Tyranids were.
that was
what
my
he's trying
next
to
line,
get.
which you
He's-
roadsided
We don't
me.
know.
You
Like-
roadsided me. That's what I'm saying. So you said the Tyranids had to exist somewhere. What if someone created them for the purpose of this and actually created millions at the same time out of psychic power, or
Maybe.
evolution, or whatever?
Or
What if it was
evolutionary?
or it's evolutionary? I'm
The
not saying
old
it's one
ones
of the
did it. The
either.
old ones made
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Tyranid.
yeah,
I'm not saying it's
madness.
one or the other.
It's all madness.
It
It's
was
all-
the emperor.
I think I'm with Eric though. I understand where he's coming from. We're not trying to say he's a chaos god, a fifth part of the a
I
pantheon.
prefer to
But-
view it as the piece of paper between the
Yeah,
worlds.
yeah.
I like that too. It's
yeah.
just
doesn't
I'm
kind
okay with
exist.
that.
It doesn't
Yeah.
exist in either.
It's got its
but it's
fingers
part
in
of
both.
Both, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. But then you start throwing the word demon out there, and that's a completely
In a
different thing.
very loose sense.
Then
of
don't
the
use
word.
that word.
What word? How do you describe it?
A creature, a real space creature.
But it's not.
A
Well, yeah.
Tyranid species?
It's both.
It's both.
It's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
That's what
No,
makes it
no,
so alien and
really
different. You
is
can't
not, though.
comprehend it.
It is a
That's what
real
my personal
space
opinion.
creature that is born and birthed. It's not a warp creature that then birthes
Yeah.
a real space
And
Sure.
creature.
I agree.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, yeah.
So
Without real space,
maybe
the
I've
hive
just
mind.
gotten too many fan mails about this kind of bullshit that I got
Yeah.
a little jumpy.
You definitely.
It's
Anyways,
just like there's
I
too
don't
many
think they
stupid
can
people.
exist. They can't exist without it. So
They can, though.
chaos is going to exist without reality, right? At this point, they're just right. Chaos and
Sure.
the warp exist without reality, and the reality can exist without the warp.
Mm-hmm.
But the hive mind and the Tyranids, as we know it, cannot exist without the warp, and the hive mind
Yeah.
cannot exist without reality.
Yeah, they would need both.
They
They
would need
it
both.
needs both, and so they're beings of both.
Tyranids will exist without the hive mind.
No,
But it
They
wouldn't.
will. It would be different. They would just resort to their base
But they would
instincts.
basically eat themselves out of existence.
It would peter out, wouldn't it?
it
Yeah,
would.
it would.
I believe
Would it?
it would.
I
don't-
believe it would.
Without
Why
the hi-
would it?
with- Because
There's nothing
their
directing
behavior
it.
is
There's no
just-
hive mind. There's no
Instinct.
consciousness.
I
No,
don't
but that's
think-
what I'm saying. They would eat each other because their instinct is to feed. And
No, but their
The
instinct
hive mind
not
is
to
the
attack
hive mind is
themselves.
the directive. Like the hive mind is the reason they're in the Milky Way, right?
Maybe.
You can assume
Maybe.
as much. That-
Like the beacon is like the hive mind is the one that sees it and is like, yes,
The
because
hive
that
mind
was a
decided
psychic
this
thing.
would be like the
And
most
if there was no
prime
psychic
target.
ability, they're just going to consume each other at some point. We already talked about how if there's nothing left, they will just cannibalize themselves.
Good thing the galaxy is nigh infinite, and there's always going to be something else to consume.
But what? How do
We're
they
talking
know?
about
How
the
do they
what
know the
ifs here.
galaxy is
Yeah.
infinite? The hive mind is the only thing that knows that. I don't know. It's whatever.
we're not going to reach a conclusion because we just don't know.
It's definitely not
It's
a
like-
demon. It is 100%
It's
not
not.
a demon.
It's not a demon. It's not a chaos god.
They're
We can
not
put that
chaos
to rest.
gods.
What we're saying.
No, I know exactly
right?
what you're
Yeah,
saying. I
yeah.
just know what people are going to hear. I get what you're
How
saying.
many times can I say that is not a chaos god and it doesn't belong in the pantheon? And like
That's fine.
humans
That's
can't.
fine.
Humans
but then
can't
next
contribute.
sentence will say stuff about demons. So then it's like,
Because-
we're back to this now, are we? And then that's what people hear. People are dumb. They need to be handheld through podcasts. We're taking them on this journey. They're stupid little shitlings. We can't confuse them, our poor listeners.
I really hope we get a story at some point.
I know.
Of the Hive Mind interacting with Korn.
I would
just
love-
a little conversation between the two of them. That would be.
And at that point, Eric, I'll come nuzzle on your teeth and apologize. For my actions. And
also-
no, I meant
also
a
quit
listener
40K.
lore. I meant a listener lore.
Oh, at that point,
Oh.
I'll fucking find you. I'll find you, Greg.
Man.
Oh, man. No, 100% not a god.
So the conclusion is a little bit column A, a little bit column B.
Yeah, I think it's a
I don't think
being
they can
that-
exist without
Yeah,
either.
I honestly think that they are in existence of both realms. They're this alien creature that is the fifth person you don't want at a party that lurks and is just there and will never leave.
Right.
That's
The word
basically
fifth
how.
almost got me.
Yeah.
The fuck are you about to say, John?
Exactly.
The
Now
fifth-
we're back to this.
Just kidding.
Chaos.
Yeah, no, a fifth thing that just lurks and it's there. And good luck trying to get.
First
rid
of all,
Not
there's
the
way
fifth
more
thing,
gods.
It's just a thing there.
First of all, there's
I
way
know,
more gods
no,
than
I know.
4.
I know.
And I do not think, it's not a chaos. Don't.
We're not saying it's a chaos god, but we're saying it's a no. I'm just kidding.
Tyranid
Oh
I'm just
my
kidding.
God.
I'm
are
just
not a
kidding.
chaos god.
I just want to see Mark just go
Have an
homicidal.
aneurysm.
Just grab a knife and just start shanking me in the back.
Yeah. Anything else we want to...
Either of you boys got anything?
I think we should all share our high fleet names if we had one.
Oh, shoot.
I know that 3 of us have played or play Nids. Eric is a man of
Oh,
poor
are
taste.
we talking about like if I was a high fleet?
No,
what
no,
would
just
my
like-
name be?
No, like
Because
you
then it
have
would
you have
be-
a hive
Sure,
fleet
yeah,
that you
what your
create.
hive
That's my
fleet
real
name is.
my tabletop.
Yeah,
hive
yeah, yeah.
fleet.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you call it?
Typhon.
Hive Fleet Typhon.
Yeah.
So-
It's actually a splinter fleet. Phew, don't add
Technically, aren't they all
They're all
splinter
splinter
fleets?
fleets. Yeah.
What's it a splinter fleet of? What hive fleet did it splinter off of?
that.
None of your fucking business.
None of your business. Yeah.
Mind your own goddamn business.
I don't even know. It doesn't really matter.
No?
It would.
It
I'm
would
trying
matter.
to think.
All of a sudden it matters.
Mhm.
It's very important. It's the 5th chaos god. It's very important.
It is super important.
What's yours?
Mine's Hive Fleet Tarask, and it's
Nice.
splintered from Behemoth.
Nice.
Okay.
Tarask is like a D&D
Mhm.
beast that's like world-eating and massive. Because most of
just
them
pull
are
it up,
kinda
Jamie, so we can take a look at it.
named after these big mythological creatures. even.
Yeah. John.
And mine's kind of similar to Mark's, which is all just big beasts.
Yeah.
I love the big beasts.
Mine was more of like a splinter from Leviathan, and because I just love the classic kind. Well, I guess that's not classic. But
Pretty classic.
Like and I had like a couple of specific. I called them Tyranid hunter killers, who were my warriors, and so
Yeah.
I tried to theme it off of that kind of feel. So
Cool.
it was like a high fleet. I guess it was like a Latin name for hunter killer, basically. Like
Yeah.
Huntress. I can't remember the word exactly.
Sure.
But it was like a Latin for that word.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll have to actually bring it up because I have to go to my notes when I was like writing.
yeah.
And
young
it's been a
boy.
while ago since I've been jumping into
40K?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the tabletop, I played into the idea that there could be like a group of Tyranid generals that would all kind of strategize together. Because I ran like multiple commanders
Okay.
at the same time, right?
So you have your your tyrant council or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's a really cool idea that
Yeah.
they would actually have separate kind of experiences throughout a planet take over, and they could all combine that knowledge for like the most effective
Yeah.
defeat of a world, and that
It's
they would
kinda cool,
only
for
kind of
sure.
bring it in as like
Bring it in, brother.
the elite squad or something. Yeah.
Form the power squad.
Yes.
Combine our powers. Okay. Hive Fleet Ouroboros.
That's what you like? Why?
So the Ouroboros is like it's a circle, but it's either like a dragon or a snake, like consuming
Eating itself
Oh, okay.
tail.
infinitely.
Yeah.
It's an infinite thing, or like representing like oneness or wholeness.
Okay.
It's an existing hive fleet.
Yep.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
It's in the
Ouroboros
codex.
is already there.
It's in the
Yeah.
codex.
Fuck
There's
me.
a ton of them. Yeah.
Well, I don't got one. now.
Loser.
I legitimately thought.
Loser.
I legitimately thought that.
Loser. Yeah.
Maybe I saw it somewhere, but I like the idea of like the Tyranids understanding that like cut off one head to more grow. to
Right,
take its
right, right,
place.
right.
Sure.
Like the idea that Tyranids as a whole are an infinite
Yeah.
cycle, in that you can't actually like there's no beginning and there's no end to like how they exist and how they act as a whole. And as soon as they're done this galaxy, it will move on to the next and to the next, and there's no foreseeable conclusion to that. Like there is a foreseeable conclusion to the Imperium and Chaos. Even Chaos just wants to see the end of the Imperium, and the Imperium wants to see domination in the galaxy. And so, but the Tyranids exist outside of that.
The swarm will always be.
So you named your fleet from a Tyranid perspective as opposed to the fleet being named from an Imperium perspective.
True, pretty much.
Yeah,
I guess.
Mark doesn't look impressed with that.
You dumb shit like that. That's not how this works.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Very philosophical.
I think it would be interesting to have like a name
falafel.
Very falafel. I think it could be interesting. Like we said, or at least I said, that the Hive Mind doesn't philosophize. Like it doesn't think of like existential questions.
Why
right?
am I here?
Yeah.
Why am I here?
But I think it could be interesting if like there was some iteration of the Hive Mind that actually did start to question like existence.
Can't happen.
I don't think it could personally.
I think that would kind of ruin what
like
I
the
think
Hive
it would
Mind
too.
singularity. That would be weird.
Yeah.
That would be weird. Yeah.
Maybe the brood might, but even then, I don't think so.
No.
It's just like locked down.
Yeah.
You've got a cause.
I just think
This is
could
what it
be.
is, and it is.
It would be a weird thing to see, I guess is all I'm trying to say. Yeah.
The one thing I've always wanted more from Tyranids lorically is like, I don't know, I get jealous of all the factions that have cool books.
Yeah, I agree with you.
like
You know,
novels, actual
we
stories.
And
just-
I get that there's no
Yeah.
character perspective
Yeah.
available to
We're
the
just like a
Tyranids.
biomass of this different entities, but there's no like
Yeah.
But you
Captain
could-
Typhos with this crew
but
in
you-
this chapter, and he's
Right.
something like that.
But there are Hive Tyrants who do have experience
True,
and carry them
true.
through fleets.
It's
So.
just
yeah,
how,
it's a single
how would it be
person.
written though?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no,
It's kind of impossible.
Yeah. I can't be like my Swarm Lord was, this was happening. This is, the
this is
character.
how he
This is the
felt.
parents he had. This is his, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that.
Unless maybe it's like the English like description of
Right.
the POV of a tyrant. Like,
Right.
but even then it would be
Yeah.
pretty much impossible to like write that. I just
Yeah.
thought it would be
They make great
something cool.
villains, but
Yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah.
not
Doesn't
great
make sense.
I think that's the
protagonists.
one thing the Nid players it would be that is like
Right.
we love this massive organism and these organisms, but like there's
They're-
so much of like the same in a sense.
Yeah.
that
and
we
they're
don't
only
have.
there to get destroyed
Ex-
by the Imperium. Oh, great! They attack Bale.
Right.
Right.
They lose.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
no
Only
like
there to
there's no
ever-
character like motive or like
And you can't
deeper
give it
story into
anyways, because then it's just like Kerrigan
Exactly.
or something.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that.
No, nobody wants that. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
a single soul.
I think that's tough. That's a tough thing to deal with. Necron were kind of like that until they got their rewrite.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit. You got
and you got some more backstory.
flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. There's more flavor, I guess, right? That's something we're kind
But it's also kind of fun being
Totally.
vague and just not like I don't know anything about the lore for anyone
Totally.
else. I just eat y'all. Like
Yeah. Totally.
doesn't matter.
We just exist in the shadows and
Interactions
show up
don't
and
matter.
No.
You know?
Yeah, just kill you.
we just kill. We feed and kill, and at the end of the day, as long as there's rock left, we did what we needed to do.
Rook.
Cool.
Rook.
Is that it?
That's all I got.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
I've been thoroughly upset. My day is ruined. I'm gonna
Good.
It's gonna go.
Here,
cry
look
later.
at this exocrine.
Thank you for coming, John. Thank you, Ian, for joining us.
Yeah, you bet.
On this,
It was good to have people on.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could record
podcast.
yourself in the closet all alone.
I did.
He did.
I did
Mark
an
and
episode.
Trevor forever.
I apparently created an alternate persona over the course of many episodes.
Apparently. No. Very particular.
I don't recall any of it happening.
Shit, really? Spoilers. I'm only on like episode
Oh shit.
I don't know.
Well,
28.
Well,
Was this like your warp self talking to your human self? Or
Well, Mark
what?
is the fifth chaos god. Right?
There will be no other.
leaves.
That's why he gets so upset about it. He's like,
I'm the fifth
that's
one.
The Hive Mind is the sixth one. You goddamn imbeciles.
chaos god of Trevor.
Hilarious.
Okay.
All right,
Cool.
cool. Well, thanks for coming, guys.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We did it.
We did it.
Never forget.
Nachos on Sunday
No.
equals a good day.
No. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. George Bush did.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's where we're going.